Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. It's great to be here. It is fantastic to see you guys. If you would please hit that like button on the way in, and we will get started here just very shortly. And let me introduce you to our guest. I know that it's been a couple weeks since we've done a call-in show, and we get asked about them a lot. Dr. Gary, thank you for being here. Dr. Gary is a forensic psychologist. He is also a member of the Cold Case Foundation. He has the largest mass murder database ever assembled as well. And he's an expert on all things serial killers, mass murderers, and many, many other things. He also, where did you graduate from? I always forget that one.
The New School for Social Research.
Say that. Sorry.
The New School for Social Research. It's a very prominent school in Manhattan, founded by people in exile from the Nazis, actually, which is very interesting. When it was first founded, it was people, intellectuals fleeing continental Europe because of the Nazis. So it was sort of an epicenter of intellectual activity, a hub of intellectual activity for a long time. A lot of very prominent people graduated from New School or taught there. It's been a remarkable place. But of course, I also wrote The New Evil, which I hope people will consider purchasing. I'm very proud of it. I think I told you, Josh, that Short Form picked it as one of the top 100 true crime books ever written. And it was an honor because I was on there with people like, of course, Michael Stone and Ann Burgess and John Douglas and, people that have been my heroes. Meant a lot to me.
And those are, heavy hitters in the true crime genre and wonderful authors. And, I think that, who was it? You remember that episode? It was the very first episode of the Witness Box that we ever did with, I think it was Dr. Yeah. Is she on that list?
I think so.
I would imagine.
I think she is. I have to remember which book it was. I think it was the BTK book.
Yeah. And I remember the books that she did was it The Serial Killer's Apprentice, I believe.
That was one of the more recent, which is wonderful. But she and I and Chris McDonough and Ann Burgess and Greg Cooper and a lot of other people are collaborating as we speak on a compendium book on the Cold Case Foundation, Vernon Gayberth, and that'll be out, sometime next year, which is great. It was a lot of fun to work with her on that, and so I hope people buy that. And I'm myself working on another book, just sort of a very disturbing book because I won't get into what it's about, but it basically deals with cases that, without getting into too much detail, cases that are so perplexing or horrifying that they really send you groping for the word evil. And I needed to speak to people either involved in them or experts on that particular type of case, or reporters who witnessed it, or or were there or whatever, to better understand each one. So I have these sort of interesting firsthand accounts and things like that to try to understand them from the inside. But there are cases that virtually nobody will have heard of because they're pretty obscure. There's sprinkled in a couple of big ones, but it's disturbing stuff. But I think it touches on the idea that I am a person who wants to know the truth about things, and to know the truth about things, you have to know the dark and the light sides. Just like when you love a person, you have to know you can't just love them like they're perfect. You have to love the dark and the light of a person to know the truth.
I always tell everybody that my love comes with conditions.
But you have to see people accurately. You have to see the negative and the positive. That's the point. That's why I'm calling it, at least the proposed title of that book is going to be, I'm going to call it A Traveler in the Darkness.
Oh, interesting. I like that.
I'm not in the darkness, but I have to travel into it to understand the kind of shadow side of the things in order to help people. You know where that comes from? That's a inscription that Dr. Ramsland made in a book to Michael Stone, which I inherited when I inherited his library. She wrote in the book, it says something like, "To a fellow traveler in the darkness, keep those candles burning." And I told her I was going to use that and quote her, and say that that's where I got it from. Because
I like the title.
Yeah, but it's the whole, inheriting the library from Michael, the symbolism of taking the work over,
right?
The idea of this connection to this, to another expert, things like that. I think it's great.
Sure.
Anyway, there's lots going on in the true crime world.
Well, yeah, and today, I believe it was 2 National Guardsmen had been shot, and I don't know the status of them as up to this moment, but last I heard that they were both in critical condition. So, thoughts, prayers out to them and their families during this holiday. And it's just a senseless, terrible situation.
Let's go out to them, and of course, all the family members of victims of murder or missing people, so forth, assault, etc. The holidays are especially hard for families, or people that have been victimized themselves and have lived and have to be around others, or go to parties and get-togethers. These things can be very, very difficult. We just had the anniversary of the Koberger murders. I'm sure that was extremely difficult for the family, the families of the victims, and of course they're all being driven, back into it by Koberger's nonsense behavior all the time in court and everything. Always trying to be the center of attention, control freak. Of course there are all kinds of potential developments in the Summer Wells case, which you've been talking about with Chris. That lit the internet on fire. So there's a lot going on.
Always does.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the link is pinned at the top. If you want to get in for a call, go ahead. We do have people ready to go. So
okay. So then let me just say 2 things. Number one, I can't answer clinical questions. It wouldn't be ethical for me to do that, as you all know. So I, as I say every time, and so, try to keep the questions general. And the second thing I just want to make sure I get to say is that many people from the lab have been subscribing to the page I do, where I play the piano, compose, and so forth. I just started doing Christmas music by popular demand. But it's I just want to thank everybody for that, because some people, a small number of people, do send $1 or $2 to get a cup of coffee, which I think is very kind. But most people just listen and write encouraging things and enjoy it, and it's necessary for a kind of compartmentalization when you deal with the kind of dark stuff that I have to deal with. So it gives me an excuse to sit down, write music, play music, connect with the public and everything. So and thank you, Rochelle. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that. Anyway, so let's jump in.
All right, here we go. Cassie, go ahead, Cassie. Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Arkansas. I've called in a couple times before.
Oh, very good. I remember.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm the one that got a job back in July working with um, parents and kids, parents of autistic children. And anyway, so I had a question that kind of goes along with the Michael Vaughn case and the David case.
Uh,
And so when you've got these cases where there are kind of like low sophistication, um, involved with, you've got a murder case and then you've got this deceased young woman and we don't really know what's going on there. But when you get into a situation where you've got a lot of people that are all in on something, or they all have guilty knowledge of it, or they've participated in it. I mean, and I'm not saying that I know for certain that the David case is like that, but it's been postulated, so I'm just pretending. I'm
Well, did
just
you hear the latest on the David case?
maybe I haven't.
That the sealed records they're talking about now, from the medical examiner who's actually upset that this stuff is being sealed because they don't like, they're getting inundated with phone calls and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, what TMZ was just reporting from somebody at the LA Times got a look at that, and that a grand jury was convened last week for that case, and it's called an investigative grand jury. So what they do is, if LAPD is having problems getting people talking to them, what they do is they call together an investigative grand jury and subpoena the people that they want to talk to. That way they cannot refuse to talk.
Right.
So these are major developments in that case. And it looks like it's going forward as a homicide investigation where David and somebody else is suspects.
Yeah. So that had been the rumor, and from everything we know about the case, it was obviously carried out by somebody who wasn't, or a couple of people who weren't very sophisticated. Same with the Michael Vaughn case. So I was just wondering, when all of these people, when multiple people are involved, and I'm definitely familiar with, there's one person who is kind of like the dominant one, and the rest of them kind of, follow that guy. But I'm just wondering, what do you think comes together that allows them to keep a secret for as long as we've seen in this David case, or even in the Michael Vaughn case, for a couple of years? That's something that's very difficult for me to understand, how they could keep the secret, given that there's more and more people that know. I hopefully that's a clear question.
No, it is. And let me I'll get this first and then you go ahead. But
should answer it.
Self-preservation is a hell of a motivator for people that don't want to go to jail. I mean, they'll lie and they make these pacts with each other, and you hear that at trial sometimes. And I mean, these people turn on each other faster than the mob, when it comes down to it. But as long as everything's kind of going smooth, or there's not and I don't want to really give any criminals advice, but I mean, the smartest thing anybody could do ever, if they're being investigated for anything, is to be quiet and tell everybody else to be quiet too. But sometimes they just don't have that in them. And that's what sort of happened in the Michael Vaughn case, is that Stacy wanted to use the investigation as a bargaining chip because he was mad at Sarah and Brandon. In the David case, it could be money, probably, since there is, he's wealthy-ish, and he's famous, and people will sell their soul, for, a measly amount of money. So that personally is what I think, that these people are morally compromised, and they just don't have, they just don't have it in them to want to be honest or have a need to be honest, because that's how they've just lived their life.
Yeah, like the level of sophistication. And I was just thinking about Sarah in the Michael Vaughn case. I imagine that these people might get upset with one another and like turn the other one in and that kind of stuff. And so that's like another aspect of it that I'm curious, that just kind of comes to mind.
Well, that's how they got the break in Michael's
Right,
case.
exactly. Yeah.
And Stacy felt like he was being betrayed, and then it left out to dry and to take a lot of the brunt of what was going on. He said, well, I'm gonna turn on them. And so that's sort of how that whole situation kicked off. Dr. Gary, any thoughts on that?
Well, I think you pretty much summed it up. I mean, the idea is sometimes offenders create a kind of mutual destruction pact by being aware of things. If you tell on me, I tell on you. The problem is that the types of people who commit offenses have a tendency to, disprove the old idea that there's honor among thieves, because they tend to be people that don't have particularly integrated characters and operate under selfish or fear-based motives and are kind of primitive and so forth. So they can easily get spooked or enticed or whatever to kind of protect their own butt and try to throw the other ones under the rug, under the bus. And sometimes that's how you break it up. You make someone feel that the other person doesn't care about them. For example, if you have a couple that you think has been engaging in crime together, you convince one of them that the other one doesn't care about them at all and would throw them under the bus, that kind of thing. Like if you have a couple that you suspect is involved in a crime, you go in and you talk to them right when there's trouble in paradise, when they're not getting along, when as soon as there's a fight, you jump in there, because that's when you're likely to get the other person to say, you know what, he's a scumbag, that kind of thing. You know what I mean, Josh?
Yeah.
Right? You got to break them up. You got to break them apart, and then one of them starts to talk. But usually, what it is that one of them starts thinking, look, I don't want to go down with this ship, and maybe if I sneak around the rest of them and rat them out, they will all get in trouble and everybody will be more lenient to me. But of course, it tends to backfire. And for anyone interested, I would recommend you read the Sherlock Holmes story, The Resident Patient, about
it only took let me see, hold on, we're 17 minutes in. Sherlock Holmes,
17 minutes, yes. Well, he's very instructive, and he really is, and I admire him. He's my favorite literary character, of course. And
I thought you were going to say he was your hero.
Who did you think it was?
I thought you were going to say he was your hero.
Well, he sort of is, but he doesn't exist, But that doesn't mean much. I mean, Zeus could be your hero or something if you want him to be.
Sure.
But I think that what that story is about, in a nutshell, is a person who has ratted out a gang and is living under a assumed identity as a resident patient in a house where he basically pays a doctor to take care of him 24 hours a day and run an office downstairs. And of course, these people figure out where he is. One of them poses as a patient, they come for a consultation. They have a judicial meeting upstairs with the guy that ratted them out, and they execute him.
Wow.
It's really about that in the end, it comes back, around.
Yeah.
Because it's just the way it is. So, yeah. But it's a really interesting question. And of course, I think what you're implying is it's especially difficult when these people aren't very sharp.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another misconception that people get all the time. They go, well, they wouldn't be able to pull this off. I always go back to the case of the two young ladies that killed their best friend and then hid her off the side of the road 6 miles up the mountain. Yeah. And, the law enforcement couldn't find them. They kept searching for her. These two 16, 17-year-old girls for like 9 months were keeping this secret. Finally, one of them cracked, took them right to where the body was, and the body was just under some leaves and shrubs. I mean, it wasn't like this crazy hiding spot, it was it's hard to find people when they go missing, when people, when you have no idea where to even start to look. It's difficult.
And I think another aspect for me is just I'm not the kind of person that would commit a crime like that. So it's, putting myself
what
in.
they all say.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I guess so.
Where were you?
But
Right.
anyway, I really appreciate both of your insight. You both definitely gave me something to think about. And Gary, points to you because I was going to ask you for a book recommendation and you gave me one anyway. So
Well,
that's awesome.
always talking about books, but
Sherlock Holmes?
I have a special place in my heart for Sherlock Holmes, and I think
Yeah.
my dream is, I have this sort of mental list of books I want to do, before I, fall off the mortal coil, and one of them is to do a run through of the entire Sherlock Holmes canon, where as a forensic psychologist I comment, right?
Oh, that would be so
And
valuable. I'd
about
love that.
what
Yes.
the lessons are, how this actually compares to real cases, the probability of this actually happening in real life, etc. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of the ideas that were used by Conan Doyle for those stories were really quite remarkable. Really, really quite remarkably accurate and very good. I mean, he was studying news clippings all the time of crimes. People were sending in ideas, and that he would sort of slightly alter them into the stories. And that's why they have the ring of truth to them. But they're like a crash course.
Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating to me. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a little different than the way that profilers work and things like that. I mean, where there's a lot of you're not supposed to make inferences and things, right? You just look at the facts. Some profilers do a lot of inferring, but some say, you just go by the black and white facts of what you see and treat it very scientifically. Sherlock, despite all of his observational skills, has a tendency to interpret, right? There's
Yeah.
an instinct element to it. Imagination is a very big part of his job. So, but all right, well, I appreciate it all. I'm sure
Thank
we'll
you.
do this again and have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. You
Yeah,
like
you
the
too.
background we've got here?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, you didn't have to draw attention to it. Now that people,
I noticed.
Oh my God!
good.
All right. Oh, my God. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
I'm trying to be festive because I get accused constantly of not being. I'm trying. I mean, it's just a typical background that came with the. Anyway, hold on. Let me. And Kat sees you. Thank you for gifting 5 lab memberships. I appreciate that very much. It looks like Retha finally got one. She's been trying to get one for quite some time. And Jovi, good to see you. Josh, you are awesome, and Dr. Gary too. That's I appreciate you saying that, and I'm sure Dr. Gary does as well. And it's good to see you, Jovi. And I see your comments on when you're on the replay crew as well. And Cherry and Max, little known fact about Cherry and Max is that she used to have a monkey, like a spider monkey, sort of like Justin's. I think it was a spider monkey.
I like spider monkeys a lot. Incidentally, to answer, wait, hold on. You're allowed to have a spider monkey in the house?
In some states, yeah. Why do you want one?
No, but I bet I can make a guess.
They would destroy
have one, yes.
your plants. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We got another.
Let me just answer Gazelle's question. Yes, of course I have, and that book was a very, very major inspiration for a number of serial killers, including Robert Berdella, who had an obsession with actually enacting that book, with the idea of keeping a woman, captive like that. Of course, he wound up doing it with men, but he was very preoccupied with that book. There are a number of people who are. It's a classic. It's an interesting movie too. All right,
let's go ahead and take it. Vinny, where are you calling from? You're on the air.
From Louisville, Kentucky.
What's up? I always like the name Vinny. That's my middle name, Vincent.
Well, you got the whole. So from where I'm from, like Dr. Gary, you fit exactly what I think of a New Yorker. The name, the look, it's awesome, man. You were like, I know you get embarrassed when people flatter you, but like, you were like a character to me in a great way.
Oh, Okay, I'm a stereotype.
He's like a character to me too. So
It reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where there's a kind of mafioso guy, and they make a kind of comment to him, something like that, and he says, "You make an old Italian stereotype very happy." Well,
that's
a cultural stereotype, but in a loving way. So I don't mind.
That's I the utmost respect. I promise you, the utmost respect.
It's okay. All right. So you're picturing like some kind of like, I don't know, grizzled, Manhattan guy walking around with a cup of coffee. Well, I mean, I guess that's what I am. You're right.
Yeah. It's just just a bigger than like, like I've never been to New York City, that kind of thing. So like, you're just bigger than life type of thing.
We're all like that. What can I say? It's New York is a special place. It's not as bad as people picture. I mean,
right.
Like everywhere there's a guy, with a knife kind of thing. It's not like that. It's actually a beautiful place.
Now, I know a couple episodes back, Josh was giving you a hard time about you had gotten robbed a handful of times, and that was hilarious.
And
that was hilarious.
I didn't report it. It's all in a day's work,
Not only did he get robbed, but he got robbed by a bunch of kids.
And he said when he was done, he was like, asked them, did they need anything? Like, is there anything I can do for you? That was
very
great.
Kind. Very kind soul.
Did I tell you, Josh, that somebody who watches me on these shows or whatever happened to be outside the office one day recently, just standing there, and they were like, Dr. Brucato, and I was like, yeah, gotta go. Because I knew their face. I was like, gotta go, bye, ciao. Hasta longer. And that was it. No idea what became of them, but
you didn't need to know. You had to go.
What a scene. It's been a pleasure. Exactly. Anyway, so stay
strong. What can we do for you, Vinny?
Okay, so Dr. Gary, do you have any knowledge of the Standard Revere work shooting that was in Louisville, Kentucky in like 1989?
Was it a mass shooting?
It was. The guy's name was Joseph Westbecker.
Yeah, I think I have it in my database. Let me pull it open. If it's a mass murder, I've got it.
Yeah, that's what it was, a mass murder work shooting.
Mm-hmm. Give me the last name. I want to look at my notes on what I concluded about it.
It's Westbecker. It's Wesbecker.
I found it. The September 14th, 1989.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Right here. Yeah. Okay, so what about it? You want to summarize it, or maybe Josh can pull it up and we can talk about it?
Yeah, so I've got a question. My grandpa was there. He was working there at the time. It was like part of the Courier Journal, our newspaper, what used to be our local newspaper. Anyway, I've always wondered, so he knew the guy, this, that, and the other. And I've always wondered that they said that like he came through the front door up to the office and kind of like started doing what he did.
Right.
And then he
killed himself. It ends in this side. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I've always wondered, so like my grandpa was down in the shop, this, that, and the other, and he said that some of the people that he knew, the guy that was doing the shooting, was he a handful of guys he let go, basically. Tell them, hey, get out of here. You better get out of here. And
right. That's not
I always have just wrestled with how could somebody do what he was doing and yet have, I don't know if it's compassion. That's probably not the right word, but to let, people live as well. He was.
It's very common. It has to do with who you have the grudge against. For example, think of the Hennard shooting, which I write about it in New Evil. He was also saying to some people that he wasn't going to hurt them. There are school shootings in which that happens. That if you were a person who didn't bully the shooter, you might be spared. That kind of thing.
Well, and specifically, Columbine, the Columbine boys did it.
Yeah.
They told, I believe it was Brooks Brown, who they grew up with, and sort of had some affection for. That they let him go. They said, just go home, and he did. And then when they were in the library, there was another young man named Dylan Savage, who by his own accounts, they pointed a shotgun at him and he said, "Are you going to kill me?" And he said, "No, get out of here." And because he never apparently crossed them, so they wanted him to, they just said go. So it is common.
Right. But you have to remember, one of the prime conclusions that, Raggy Gerges and I, when we did the mass murder database, the Columbia mass murder database, it was very clear, even just anecdotally, that the center of a mass murder, except for a couple of cases where severe mental illness is involved, like psychosis, is a lot rarer than you think in a mass murder. Generally, they are motivated by last straw events. This particular guy, who went in there armed to the teeth, by the way, he had made all kinds of statements. I see it in my notes. He had made all kinds of statements to people that he was unhappy at the job, that he might come back and shoot the place up. He had, there was a divorce situation. In other words, he was a person who was sort of losing everything. He had a history of both depression and manic depression, depending upon who was evaluating him. He was somebody that was sort of on a lot of medication. In fact, one of the most interesting things about this case was the lawsuit against the pharmaceutical company, the manufacturer, Eli Lilly, because they claimed that his Prozac was involved in the shootings. Now, I will tell you, Raggy Gerges and I just did a paper, which we suspect is not going to be too popular in certain circles in Washington, D.C., where we demonstrated that in this largest data set of mass murder ever done, there is no relationship statistically between antidepressants and committing a mass murder. None. And as a matter of fact, if there's a relationship, it might be people who are prescribed them who don't take them.
Yeah.
Or who are not going to treatment. Not using them causes it. But whatever. I mean, I'm not going to comment on this particular case in that regard. But that notion, when you hear people talking about that, just bear in mind that we just did the definitive study, and the answer is it does not cause you to commit a mass shooting. That's absurd. In fact, who knows? Maybe I'll wind up having to discuss it in Washington, that finding, because there is a move to draw attention to this supposed relationship between those things, and I see none. But in this case, that was an interesting element. Did you see this guy, Josh? Did you ever see this guy? You gotta see this guy. I hate to say it, but you'd pick this guy out of a lineup that something was up with him. Just look at this guy.
Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, he was but they always said when it happened, he was a weird guy. They said
a weird guy. Yeah,
he was just a super weird guy.
Right.
And yeah, when you see a picture, I mean, that's not always true. That's.
He almost looks like the Zodiac killer.
But he's scary looking.
It looks like a 1977 Bible study guy.
Look, the reality is that I hate to say it, but if you had to profile this guy, he has the look of the background of a person who would feel essentially powerless and invisible, and everything around him was falling apart, and he was sort of depressed and saw himself as a nothing. And so those are the type of people that sometimes on their way out make meaning out of their life or reassert power by doing these kinds of things. But workplace violence, I think, is often in many ways more complicated than the school shootings. Those are really interesting workplace. Yeah. I mean, imagine you hate the people that you work for so much that you go in there and you just you take them all down or something because somebody gave you a bad performance review or didn't like you or something. I mean, it's disturbing stuff.
No,
I've heard crazy stories about people who leave a job and they don't go quite. In fact, I don't know if it's true, but because sometimes they're made up. You see on social media, you'll see a screen cap from the news, but you don't know if it's sham or real. But I saw one that said that this woman had been arrested because she came into a lot of money and she quit her job, so she went into the office and defecated on the boss's desk. right? Like that kind of thing. I can understand that kind of thing. Like the person who hates the place so much they want revenge. Yeah, you take like a huge steaming dump on the desk and you're just like, gotta go. I mean, have you had that fantasy? You know what I'm saying? You know, but imagine having such rage that to settle matters, you have to go in there. You know what this guy had on him?
I know it was a lot. I know it was like a lot.
Okay, so he had. You ready for this? He had a Polytech AK-47S, right, which is a semi-automatic, a Sig Sauer P226 9mm pistol, a duffel bag with 2 Mac 11s, a snub-nosed .38 caliber Smith & Wesson Model 12 airweight revolver, a bayonet, and hundreds of rounds of ammunition.
Wow.
Okay, this guy did not go in there, you know, with the idea that he was going to kill one person.
Oh.
He wanted to wipe out the whole joint. See?
And all he had to do was just take a dump on the supervisor's desk.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't enough. And he, of course, wanted to kill himself. Yeah.
See, that's a respectable thing. Like, I mean, sort of, not really, but you know, it's like, okay, well, that's disgusting. That person's crazy, and then you have this guy.
I don't know, crazy people. When you say crazy, when crazy people do things, they don't necessarily go after the target that's in their mind because they're disorganized.
You don't think defecating on someone's desk is crazy?
Well, you have a specific target. You're organized. You know what you're doing. You got to hold. You know, you got to hold the bowel movement and go in there and do it really quickly at a specific time. I mean, there's a certain amount of organization, unless you bring it in a bag or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
And I'm being serious about it, but it's impossible.
I know, but I don't think that I don't think that it takes an organized person to fire one out on your boss's desk on the way out.
Fire one out. I'm not saying it takes, you know, a William F. Buckley, but I think that it does take some organization.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? I mean, bowels of
I had
hell.
my coffee way too early this morning. We got to go.
Well, anyway, it's a really interesting question. And to answer the Mrs. Mick in the audience, no, I do not think it was Arthur Lee Allen. Okay, so let's.
I do.
I don't.
I do.
But let's moving right along. But this guy does. He looks kind of like if a Zodiac sketch and a Far Side character. Right? Doesn't he look kind of like a Far Side character?
Looks like something.
He definitely, and look at his forehead. My God.
He has dreams, or what is it? Motion pictures, not dreams.
How the West was one on it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's I always, no matter who it is, whenever you know about their crime and then you see them physically, like I could just pick apart people like him all day because I just can't stand psychos like that, you know.
Well, you think that this guy has the stereotyped look of a shooter? Is that what you're suggesting?
Not really. I mean, his eyes are kind of cocked like a pistol, though.
Right. I guess what I'm trying to say, and I like the way that Gazelle said it in the audience, is that you have to understand that sometimes people are just cognizantly doing something horrible. And because we think it's shocking, we think they have to be either evil or crazy. But it is within the realm of human behavior to be so angry that you want that kind of revenge. I mean, I've heard crazy stories. People come to therapy and tell stories about things they did to secretly exact revenge or do things, you know, little quiet things, you know, oh, I spat in his food, you know, that kind of thing. I've heard things, you know, and where you want that feeling of power or revenge. And I think, you know, I put sugar in his gas tank, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, and it's also what Vinny was talking about earlier was, you know, when people are saying, you know, or when a shooter would say, you know, go home, or I think they get like the feeling of kind of playing God as well, sort of in their.
That's right.
Yeah. Final.
You get on the ark and you get spared.
Correct. Yes. You've never wronged me, so I'll let you live. Right. Type situation, and which is, you know, horribly disgusting as well. But that's what they do. I mean, they look at these moments through. I remember when I was reading. I think it was Eric Harris's journal when he would say like the seconds will feel like minutes will feel like hours, you know, and like they
one tortured soul.
But oh man, he was bad news. But anyway, Vinny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, fellas.
Give us a call again. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
I'd like to say see you in New York, but what you'll really get is have a nice day.
Yeah, give him the Irish goodbye.
What's up? Stay strong.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along.
Stay strong. All right, let me get rid of this.
That's a true story. Stay strong.
Look, I never doubted it for a second.
Sounds like me.
Huh?
Sounds like me, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of. It actually does. Joey H.
All right. You guys were missed by everyone. I'm sure the chat, myself. You guys are a very cool team. So you guys are missed. Glad you're back. Yeah.
Thank you.
I called that Slender Man thing, didn't I? A couple of calls ago, I brought up the Slender Man new evil type of thing, and here she is cutting off her ankle, a GPS, and hanging out in truck stops. All right, I want to start off like I always do. I recommend something, and I want to recommend, since Gary's blowing up the internet with his piano pieces, I want to recommend a new documentary called Best of the Best about Detroit jazz. Just design. So it's very good. I'm friends with the producer, actually. So before I got two questions. So before I do it, I want to try something. I want to ask my question, but Dr. Gary, can you put your index fingers on your temples? And you're gonna know why when I ask the question. There you go. There, just stay like that. You're gonna know why in a second.
This is the weirdest. I see.
I had to do it, man. I had to do it. All right. So listen, Peacock, your doctor, Father Karras.
I'm gonna project vomit on you now. Is what I'm gonna do.
Go. Don't throw no pea soup in my face. Listen, I saw
I met Linda Blair, and I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, but she gave me a little business card. She told me that her dog has the same nickname as me, which gave me great delight. And a friend of mine swore that he called her voicemail, and it says, "Your mother isn't here with us, Karras. Would you like to?" I don't know if it's true. I should call it myself, but I think that's the greatest thing in the entire world if it is.
Gave me great delight.
It gave me great delight because I think Linda Blair is great. I love The Exorcist. I know it inside and out. Yeah. I also like the James Wood parody of.
Scary Movie too.
Yes, it's hysterical.
But I like the turkey scene, the turkey dinner scene
with Chris Elliott.
Yeah,
of course, he's the funniest thing in the world with the strong.
I don't think I've ever seen.
Don't get me started. There are certain movies that, as cerebral as people think I am.
Take my cat.
I can't handle it with the jammy.
Thing I've ever seen.
Take my strong arm. I can't. When he says, "Let me touch it," boop, bop, boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. And then the way he bases the turkey is by licking it.
Yes, and then he, yes, but and then he stuffs it, so to speak. But I cannot handle that. There are certain moronic movie scenes that make me die laughing, and that's there. Yes,
right, sorry about that.
Take my.
All right, let me ask my question.
Go ahead.
All right, listen. So there's a recent documentary on Peacock that I highly recommend. It was incredible, actually, but terrifying, about the Toolbox Killers and Lawrence Bittaker. Primarily, Lawrence Bittaker was the.
I told you, he called me.
You did say that, yeah. So, the documentary is incredible. So my first question is, his last victim on Halloween, Shirley Ledford. In the documentary, they talk about that the transcript, that was the cassette that he cleaned out everything in the van, but he accidentally left.
I've heard the tape.
That's what I want to talk about. So the tape can be heard, and I heard it, parts of it, on YouTube, because that was one of the first cases that was documented on film. They recorded that trial. And on YouTube, you can hear as people are exiting the jury, they're exiting the courtroom, and some lawyers, even attorneys, you can hear the screams, the tape. So my first question is, Dr. Gary and Josh, how are these? We hear about images that don't leave our mind, these horrible images in our life, trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder. When someone hears something like that, even myself, how does someone get that sound out of their head? I mean, once you hear that, there is no replica, there is no scream I've ever heard in my life like that, besides the guy who got eaten by the grizzly bear, Timothy. That was unbelievable to hear also. But tell me about that.
But you notice that what you're implying is that you listened to a horrible thing that horrified you, and then you listened to another one.
Yeah, I mean, I had heard the grizzly one. I mean, like 15 years? No, actually 18 years ago. Yeah.
The point.
But this is not a mammal, out in Alaska or anything like that. We're talking about a diabolical serial killer.
What you're saying, Roy Norris also said. Roy Norris said that, his partner, he said that the screams that come out of people in movies sound real to you until you hear the sounds that actually come out of a person being tortured. And you have to understand some of the things that Bittaker and Norris were doing. I mean, you know what Bittaker's nickname was, right?
What was it?
Pliers. And what was the pair of pliers used to mutilate?
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yes. And so, you're talking about recording women. I mean, one of the victims was garroted with a hanger, and on autopsy, her throat was the size of a silver dollar.
Yeah. Yes.
You understand? That one of them had her joints smashed with a sledgehammer, and it was recorded.
Gary, Dr. Gary, when I
don't blame you for not being able to get over it. But the point is that, like, for example, I've heard that in Quantico they were using that tape to, I don't know if it's an apocryphal story, but they were using that tape to see if an agent could compartmentalize and would be able to handle this stuff. Because if you can't listen to that and put it in a box, you're not going to be able to spend all day looking at, mutilated people in crime scenes. You understand? I mean, for me, I heard it. It horrified me to no end. But then, like, it went into a compartment, and you have to move on with your life. Because if you think about it, you'll never be the same. You know what I'm saying? Because that tape is something else.
But Dr. Gary, the tape also, and that let
me be clear, because people are misunderstanding. It's not filmed. It's audio. It's audio of the sound of a person screaming from being wounded, and you don't know what's happening. You're just hearing the screaming. So no, it wasn't, pornographic, visual, whatever. No, don't.
But I mean, true crime has exploded, right? It's so common now. The people are really into true crime, and when I heard it, I was thinking these are probably the same exact type of screams when Bundy was killing his victims. A lot of these true crime, even Koberger, this is probably the type of screams that are heard. So that's what really hit me.
No. Hold on a minute. It's definitely true that there are screams of horror and terror, but you have to understand, Bittaker and Norris are 22s on the scale, Michael Stone and I. They were what you would call exquisite torturers. Everything they did was designed to increase the screaming and the terror and so forth. That is very different than a serial killer who blitzes you, takes you off somewhere, strangles you, whatever. There's going to be screaming and so forth. But it's very different than having, like, a torture chamber where for days on end, for example, like some of these people do, like David Parker Ray, you're using hooks and pulleys and knives and syringes and devices and whatever to cause exquisite pain. That's the kind of screaming you would hear in a torture chamber in medieval times. And that's what I think is different about Bittaker and Norris. They would take someone in a van off to the middle of nowhere in the mountains where nobody would hear you and record the sound of the screaming and the torture, and then kill you, and then perhaps dump you on a lawn or some other kind of thing. I mean, it was really bad. And but what you're talking about is like the stuff of nightmares. I mean, I don't even want to keep discussing it because it's very, very disturbing. And but so to answer you, I think, look, if you're going to be exposed to that, it's going to be like a PTSD thing. You're going to have to find a way to dissociate or compartmentalize it, or it's going to be with you forever. Your brain is not designed to hear something like that and be okay with it. If you're an empathic creature, if you're a psychopath, you'd be, or a sadist, you'd find it arousing or exciting. But to a normal person, I mean, normal people are designed to hear a person cry for help or hear an animal make a cry for help and to run to it and to take care of it.
Dr. Gary, when you write your books and stuff, and you hear these cases repeatedly, these types of serial killer stuff,
well,
now that DNA continues to advance and all these cameras are everywhere, everything, a crime gets detected pretty much faster and faster. With these sophisticated criminals that it seems like they're just born this way. What do you predict? What do you predict the future holds as far as these types of personalities, these types of
less serial killing, because you get away with the second offense after a cooling off period very easily.
But do you think they'll keep killing, or do you think they'll do something else? Do you think they'll go
No. Okay, so look, first of all, you're not going to get rid of serial killers. What's going to happen is that they're going to do things because they learn more and more about what people like me do to understand them and figure them out. I mean, look at in the Gilgo Beach case, if Herman is guilty, I mean, look at his planning document. He was studying Douglas and people like that, and how to alter crime scenes and hide DNA and all of that. And Michael Stone and I used to talk about this, about how we expected there to be a lot more crimes involving complete mutilation of a body to get rid of anything that could be used to identify a victim, right? More setting people on fire, cutting off fingertips, getting rid of teeth, getting rid of tattoos, in other words, as there is, Michael used to call it an arms race. As the police get better, you're seeing more dismemberment, mutilation. So he was making, I think, a kind of bad pun when he said arms race, as he liked doing. But he was basically saying that it was a way of trying to outpace the technology. So that's one thing. But what I also think you're seeing is, if you look at like a graph of serial killing in the United States and mass murder, you see that they sort of swap places in the late 90s. From the mid 60s to the late 90s was sort of a major uptick in serial killing for cultural reasons. But then in the late 90s, as technology starts popping up that makes it very difficult to kill serially and get away with it, it starts decreasing, and you start seeing this massive uptick in mass murder, particularly mass shooting. And so, those are very different types of personalities, but it may be that some of these kind of brittle characters go for a more impulsive expression as opposed to a more serial expression. But I think they're very different types, because serial killers in that 1960s to 1990s period were predominantly sexually motivated, and mass murderers are virtually never sexually motivated unless they go on to be serial killers, like BTK. Right? That's what I think Kohberger was. I think he was a mass murderer who was just on his way being a serial killer, probably because his motivations seemed perverse sexually. But so I think it's a long answer, but I think there are several factors that are decreasing it. But I think there's always going to be, a couple of dozen to maybe 100 to maybe even 200 serial killers active at any given time, probably out there. But you don't link them. They're like, remember the murder of who was the Rachel Marin, the jogger. Chris McDonough and I interviewed family members a couple of times, and so forth. We were giving sort of informal profile of the killer on the on the interview room. He was another guy that had the quality of her killer was another guy who had that quality of like serial killer material, right? Stalking, the sexual murder, the elements, the brutalization, so forth. And think about it. That guy was sort of on the run. If he killed again, you might not have linked those cases. That's what you have to picture, like poor linkage, right? And Josh, you know what I mean, right? I mean, if you run far enough, I mean, it's going to be difficult for people to link the cases, and people are learning that. They're learning what cops do.
Tommy Lynn Sells.
Tommy Lynn Sells. They also, that's a good example. They also learn to leave the jurisdiction.
Yes,
it becomes like a quagmire, you know.
Bundy.
Yeah, right. They also learn to change up their style. You know, first I'll dismember people, then I'll get rid of bodies in quicklime. You know, then I'll get rid. They evolve, they change, because they have to outpace the technology, and it is rough with DNA. I think Koberger, for example, probably went in there making a very great effort not to leave traces, and that's the kind of guy that would bring a vacuum or something, you know, to try not to leave traces, you know. So
right.
Aware of that they'd be looking even, you know, for everything, dandruff and skin flakes and all kinds of things. So, but it's a very, very interesting question. You always come up with something. Eventually you'll run out of questions, I guess. Yeah. What'd you say?
I bet you he won't.
Yeah, he spits them out like a freaking
He
machine.
brings the fire. He brings the fire questions every time.
I really like them. But I like
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. I want you guys to have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow, and I hope you eat a lot of turkey. And we are all serial killers tomorrow, actually. We're going to be eating those turkeys. I know I am. All right, take care.
Hey, thanks a lot, Joey. We'll talk to you next time. Joey H. in the house.
I always enjoy when he calls. So
turkey, by the way, sucks. So let's just put that out there.
You don't like turkey?
No, I don't.
Can I just say that there are very few things that bother me more than the phony first Thanksgiving story. Can you imagine that that's what really happened? I mean, it's so silly, you know.
No.
A bunch of pilgrims speaking British English pop up, and a bunch of native people welcome them with open arms and say, "Let's sit down and eat a meal together. Come, take our land. Let's sit at a long table and have maize." And I mean, it's almost closer to the Addams Family Values story in real life. It's silly. It's as silly as the Columbus story, which I mean, he was horrendous, you know. But these ideas that the way that we whitewash these stories and we want to believe. I mean, can you picture this? The pilgrims with those blunderbuss guns, you know, popping up with. I can't. It's so silly.
I mean, I think that I think that it's sort of told that way because Thanksgiving is supposed to be a pleasant time, and instead of talking about massacres and
whitewash it.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the best idea.
I think Lincoln started Thanksgiving as a holiday, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know that, but I did get attacked by a turkey. But I also don't like turkey itself.
You don't like the taste of turkey?
Nah, it's dry. And the thing is too, everybody, like, I get this all the time because I'm outspoken. I'm outspoken against the eating of turkeys because I think it's gross, and it's fine that people do. Less turkeys in the world, probably the better. I don't know what.
It's pretty sad, to be honest with you.
What?
You know, the killing of the bird and the neck or tax.
You don't think that bird wouldn't kill you if it could?
It's just sad. I find it a little depressing, but you know, I'm more of a cranberry sauce mashed potatoes kind of person.
Yeah,
I look for that kind of stuff. The turkey itself never really does it for me.
Dude, the turkey in my front yard. I mean, it was just standing in my front yard, and I tried to say hi to the turkey. It flapped and it like lunged its talons at me.
Talons.
Yeah, talons.
America's Got Talons.
Turkey's got talent. Lori, go ahead. You're on the air.
Who laughed at that terrible pun?
I did. I laughed. I laughed.
Yeah.
Who are you, and how have we been two ships passing in the night until this moment? Who is this calling?
Hi, guys.
Lori.
Oh, Lori. Lori's called before, right?
Oh, yes, I have. I've called a few times. I think last time you were going to adopt me.
I was going to adopt you?
Yes, you were going to adopt me. It was a weird situation though. So
it sounds like
Josh. Yeah. Maybe Josh said that.
I'm not the adopting type.
I'm not a paternal person.
No, you were gonna. Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird thing. But my question is about
I'm a paternal. You think of me as a paternal person?
no, it
I'm the kind of person that would watch a bunch of kids being rambunctious at a party, draining everybody, and turn to the person next to me at the party and be like, "I got to go get a vasectomy. I'll be right back." Like, are you kidding me? I love children, but when they're in the arms of another person,
But why would you? Why wouldn't you just go get the vasectomy? Why do you need to announce?
it's I don't really want to snip, you know.
Hey, everybody, I'm going to get a vasectomy.
And
Kids,
I was going to make a pun about there being a vast difference because it sounds so much like a vast difference.
I could see you.
There is a vast difference between. Anyway, okay.
Look, I could see you leaning over to some unsuspecting, PTA member at this party, just going, "Hey, I'm gonna get out of here and go have a vasectomy."
Oh, God.
That's my sense of humor. Don't you think?
Yeah, but why? I don't know.
Like
Yeah,
someone leaning over to me and saying, "What do you think? Would you like to have my child?" I'd be like, "I'd rather be garroted." Like it's my sense of humor. But all kidding aside, I would be a very good father. But the idea of it is funny to me. That's all.
I mean, we were talking about adoptions, is what the theme was.
Well, you're
you were going to adopt me.
You're big enough. You'll go play in the yard.
Give me a dog. I'll be happy.
I'm watering my plants.
This is hysterical. All right, moving along. You did have
moving along. I am reading. I'm going through your book again, and
are you using it to wrap fish or to line?
That's not it at all.
She's
But
on level 14.
I'm going through the chronologue. Oh God, I can't talk tonight. Chronologue. I'm going through the years. Let's just put that, because apparently I can't speak. And okay, how do I phrase this question?
Articulate, well.
The contraceptive pill came out in 1960. The Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964.
Right.
And then in 1965, there's a soaring divorce rate and a high incarceration rate of boys to unwed mothers.
Right.
Which is weird, but okay.
Are you suggesting, am I reading that where you're going with this is that you're implying that these are kinds of things that might have set the stage for the increase in every manner of violent crime that came in the late 1960s? Because that's something Michael Stone has talked about for a long time.
Yes, actually, because in 1966, the National Organization for Women is formed. And from there, we start going into the 70s, which introduces the 80s. And in the late 70s and 80s, violence in movies, those cheap movies, and wrestling and things like that became very violent towards women.
Well, before we go any further with this, let me be clear, because I could see the audience squirming. So let's be crystal clear about something.
All right.
There is when Michael talked about that, because that was a theory of his. When Michael talks about that, the implication was not like a victim blaming that the liberation of women caused that. That is not what he meant. What he meant was that men, especially brittle ones, who were accustomed to having a great deal of power over women in social hierarchies, acted out. There was a backlash against the increasing freedoms of women to not have their children, not stay with them, not be in abusive relationships, empowerment, which are all great things. But what you start seeing is this kind of entitlement to go out and condescend to women and abuse women. And it's a horrible thing. And it starts to increase just at the same time that women are increasing their social freedoms. And so Michael proposed that wasn't a coincidence. Anne Burgess, the great, kind of doyenne of
I love her.
Anne Burgess, dear friend of mine, will tell you that the reason that her rape studies became of interest to the FBI was because the FBI couldn't understand why there was suddenly an increase in sexual offenses against women in that period. Serial killing in the period before the 1960s was rarely sexual. You could count on a couple of hands the number of sexually motivated serial killers. And don't believe those people who say, what about all those mutilation cases? You know, in 1750, they found a decapitated child in a field, and that was sexual. It may have been, but there, you could count on one or two hands how many cases of it there were. In the period after the 1960s, there's a huge explosion of sexual violence against women. And it begs the question, is it related to cultural change? And of course, it is interesting that it doesn't happen all over the world to the same degree. It seems to be related in some way to men having a difficult. And I think a lot of what you're seeing even now, you see it in the Me Too movement and so forth. Now you still have hostilities towards women, but they come out in all different ways. Workplace inappropriateness, men who are angry when they're rejected by someone they're trying to talk to on the street, harassment and all kinds of other all kinds of terrible rape and sexual stuff. These things, they're happening every day.
I think it's really coming out now.
Really, really disturbing, and you're seeing even on an institutional level a desire to get back in a time machine and go back to the time when women were subjugated.
Yes,
that's the whole idea, and you have to see it that way to understand. So there's this idea, like, if we want to get everything kind of back to a place when crime is less, let's get in a time machine, very quickly. And the other thing, of course, is to emphasize that. Those freedoms are great. That's a good thing. You understand? That there should be equalization. If people have a problem with it, screw them. And but I think it is interesting to think about those cultural changes and how those two things might be related is an intriguing question. And but it's sad because when they went in and talked to serial killers about why they were doing it, what they learned was that it was an expression of it was a way of retaking a feeling of domination and control.
Which I think is happening again now with all the restrictions that are happening.
Of course. And you also see it the other way, young women who are being taught to run into the sexualization and go with it.
Yes.
Right. So that it's like, that you empower it, you own it, as opposed to it being projected onto you.
Well, and I don't.
An interesting message,
Well, they just, with the reclassification of the women's professions like nurses and therapy and everything else.
I know.
And of course, now Roe v. Wade is gone. The pill, they're restricting the pill. So there's a lot of those things that they're doing
to resubjugate.
Yes, of course.
And if you see it that way, you understand how nefarious it is. And,
yes, very. And so men feel more dominant.
You got it. And not just men, but then there are also racial, efforts to
yes, and the racial aspect of it.
It's terrible. Now, and to answer a question being raised by C-Star, when you're talking about the violence of Roman times, emperors and so forth, you're talking about what is really more political or wartime violence. That's different than somebody doing something in the privacy of their own home for personal cause. So, for example, there were certainly torturers in medieval times, like a king who is mutilating people in a dungeon somewhere is very different than, David Parker Ray with a torture dungeon in New Mexico. One is peacetime. It's an individual in peacetime. So what you're talking about is that in the post-1960s period, you see people in peacetime doing the kinds of things that people used to do when they had political power and were torturing people in a torture chamber. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference. But I think it's a very interesting question you raise, a very controversial one. I'm not, I don't want to go into the controversy.
But I was going to say, Dr. Gary, I don't think when I hear, when she first presented her question, I wouldn't think that it would be, looking to blame the women.
it's just a reaction that certain awful
Right.
men.
But I think if anything, and it's, where sort of women realized and thank God that that they didn't have to stay and be abused, and the
That's right.
nuclear family wasn't
Exactly.
a thing. And so if there's anybody to blame, it would probably be the men who were dominating the relationships that pushed women away because they weren't treating them.
And toxic masculinity.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I mean, Josh, you've talked now. Look, I don't want to open this can of worms, but you've talked often about the dynamic with your father.
Yes.
Was your father not a walking, living, breathing example of toxic masculinity in that situation?
Of course he was. I mean, anybody that views somebody as like their object or their property is insane. I mean, that their thought process is messed up. It's a foul way to think. And I mean, this goes all the way from relationships to slavery to whatever, where anybody feels like they're in charge of somebody else's life to the point where they say, no, the only way you leave is in a box, is a crazy.
Isn't that terrible?
Crazy. It's just a crazy thought.
Horrible.
That's sort of what I get more from it, is that, women not woke up, but they realized that, look, there was this whole movement, the burning of the bras and, things like that, where they say, hey,
Well, it started with Susan B. Anthony, didn't it? With her pushing the whole, I want to vote.
Messed around with Anthony. And don't think there aren't also people now who are craving the repealing of the right for women to vote.
I know, it's crazy.
In political power who believe that a household should vote, and it is the male head of the household should vote for everybody.
Yeah, which is
people who believe that.
It's crazy.
And, so this is what you're dealing with. But this idea that because there were thousands of years of male dominance, that to get everything back to a great place, we have to go back to that, is so absurd. There's no putting that genie back in the bottle. That's not happening. So
what did you say the percentages of domestic violence, women in domestic violence?
I think if I remember the statistic, it's something like every 30 seconds.
Like 87% of women.
Oh, I don't remember the precise number because it depends on the study, but but if you're talking about like some degree of maltreatment by men, it's an absurd number. I think it's like 2 in 3 women.
Yeah.
Something happens. Somebody say something lewd to them. A guy hits on you, you say no, and he like spits on you or calls you a B word, or I bet you most of the women in the audience have had some experience like that.
Oh yeah, probably. Oh God,
yeah, it's not
99%.
everybody.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for that.
But let me be clear, because I'm reading the comments in the chat. Don't take anything that's being said out of context. Michael was simply proposing that there was an interesting temporal relationship between cultural changes having to do with women's freedom and this outrageous violence toward them. And he wondered if that's, and I don't think it's that crazy of a question.
I don't think he was attacking women at all.
No.
No, quite the opposite. I just thought it was an interesting
misread something and make it into a
Yeah, I think this book is incredible. That's all.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Josh. We haven't had an off the rails call yet. I'm surprised.
We're pretty early.
It's coming. And by the way, it's Thanksgiving here in New York now, so happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right, let's go here. Denmark, Andy, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Hello. You've ever called before?
I don't know.
I don't think you have.
No, I don't think so. You seem
He definitely hasn't.
I've been everywhere on these kind of StreamYards, but no, I don't think I know you guys.
No.
Okay. Well,
you got a question for us?
I used to stream myself. No, I just joined and I thought it was an open panel, but I see you guys are doing
we're doing
show.
Yeah,
I don't want to interrupt your show, but I want to say God bless you and have a great stream.
Thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
support. I will subscribe
Are
and
you
like,
from
yes.
Scandinavia?
What?
Are
Yeah,
you
from Denmark.
Scandinavia? Oh,
Denmark, yes.
where are you from?
Denmark.
Denmark. Ah, yes. Yeah. It's a pleasure to meet you. You have some
Yeah,
very interesting crimes in Scandinavia sometimes.
There's crimes everywhere, and yeah, it's plussing up over here with the gang violence, and it's a lot about immigration also. But yeah, it is what it is. Nobody can hide from this when you live in a world or these countries as we do. We don't like live in Russia, Poland, or North Korea, where we can push people outside. We have
Yeah.
to be open for everybody, and it just gotten wrong over here, And
yeah, it's hard to assimilate, but it's kind of part of
Right.
the same shit,
But
But
instead of
we can
thinking
feel it, yeah.
But instead of thinking about the few kind of rotten people, think about how amazing it is that millions of us live among each other and we don't kill each other. I was on a show once with what is her name? Abby Marsh. It's a wonderful, wonderful psychologist who does longitudinal studies of psychopathic children. And she wrote this really terrific book about altruism, about what makes people be the opposite of a psychopath, right? And I liked her a great deal as a person when I met her. And she said, I always remember that she said that you have to think about, like, for example, human beings on an airplane, like this flying metal thing, tight in the air, people are anxious, and all these human beings are getting along just fine. If you put any other mammal on there, except maybe bonobo monkeys, they'd be killing each other. Imagine cats. Putting 100 cats together in an airplane, they'd be killing each other. It's amazing that human beings can do that. And so we have these people that operate in this kind of low brain, disinhibited kind of way, but most of us are pretty remarkable at inhibiting our animal selves and getting along. It's quite amazing. And I mean, don't you think?
I think it's opposite.
Yeah,
like we are like rats, and the closer we get, the more we will be in our animal instinct, and we will eat what we get. Like rats, they will eat their own children if they have no food, and I think it's very interesting.
Okay.
The psychopath. I think all children are psychopaths in a way. I remember how
maybe narcissism
I was as a kid. But very interesting. You're saying that,
Andy. Don't you think that has something to do with maturity, though?
You understand, like it can be a lot of things, like, but understanding that you are not the only one as a child. You don't even see yourself as a child or a toddler before you are 3 or 4 in a mirror. You don't understand that's like you're a monkey, and then after that you go through these stages where you like get to know that you are not the only thinking. Like you can only control your own mind, but there's other people having feelings, and your mom and all that. That's what's really hurting me today, being a bad kid, like letting me mom having me and my brother being stressed out. She was stressed out because we were fighting all the time, and we didn't give a fuck, and my mom was there alone doing everything. That's terrible, that hurts me today.
Yeah. Well, brothers fight. I mean, that's not abnormal, but and moms being stressed out because their kids are fighting is not abnormal either. And
no.
But yes, it you do sort of look back on it as you get older and go, man, I was kind of a pain in the butt kid, or whatever. I mean, I do understand that.
But you wouldn't be feeling guilty about it if you were a psychopath.
No, probably not. I don't know what a psychopath is, because I have a lot of shame, all that as a man. You gotta handle the things down in the stomach, and so you don't get controlled by your dick and all that, so you can actually control the heart and the brain. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
That's pretty important, and that's what I'm fighting with, because I have some stomach itch from where I'm growing up and what I got up with,
But remember something. The secret is to not make the mistake of thinking that a human being could ever really achieve goodness. That goodness doesn't come from in you, it comes from outside of you. What happens is that a person gets so broken and realizes that they're so flawed and so weak that the only way to achieve goodness is to kind of empty the self and then to reflect the light of a higher power. You just say, look, I can't do it on my own. You do it through me, right? You do it. But you can't yourself be perfect. It's not possible. You're a human being.
Yeah.
And there is something very beautiful about realizing that, because as soon as you realize it about yourself, you start to realize that nobody can be expected to have all his or her marbles in the box. Every one of us sits up at night and goes, God, how could I do that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, are you kidding? So, but I think it's very important to understand, like, you're never going to achieve moral perfection. It's not possible.
I'm a Christian, and it's nothing with like religion, but you're totally right, man. You really sound like you've been thinking about it, and you should always go deep, you know, and search for these answers. And you really sure sounds like you got your answer for like the life hack you need. It's about life hacks, you know, like you got to figure these out yourself and use it. Yeah.
Right, but it's very, very important, because if you think that it's coming from you, then you're going to be gravely disappointed.
Yeah. I know it's just in front of you. Love is just in front of you.
Oh, that's a very
but
beautiful.
Hate and jealousy and all these bad things, it can really get inside of you, like a demon. But I see what you mean. Like it's just in front of us, and we should not.
Well, you remember? I don't know if you had it in Denmark, but you remember that movie, The Karate Kid?
Yes, yeah, of course, man.
And part 2,
1, 2, and 3, or was it only 1 and 2?
There were too many, but the first two. But did you ever see it, Josh? Part 1 and part 2, Karate Kid, love it. And
I saw the one with Will Smith's kid too.
I saw it too. I have them all here, and
twice.
We just pretend that those, but they're just the first two. So, but in the second part, which is like directly follows the tournament at the end of part 1, the kind of awful, dojo leader, who hates Mr. Miyagi and hates Daniel. They won, he's sort of limping because he had his leg swept. He's got the trophy. They go outside, and this guy confronts him and basically, wants to kill Mr. Miyagi, remember? And he like breaks the glass with his fist because Mr. Miyagi jumps out of the way. He's like a little Yoda. He's got this like amazing like force power. And then he has the opportunity to kill this guy. Mr. Miyagi has him down on the ground. He has, his fist up. He could easily break his nose and kill him. But then he doesn't. He honks it, remember? And then he says, Daniel's like, what? Like, why'd you do that? And then Mr. Miyagi says, the man who has no forgiveness in his heart is already dead.
Yeah.
Now, as hokey as it is, that's actually quite a brilliant truth.
Can you do that Mr. Miyagi move again? Like, show me what you just did.
He does that little thing.
I can do it, but he's poop. You can see me only, but he's like.
Actually, he stays very still like a frog, and then he just kind of jumps out.
I found that.
Yeah. But they make him sound like a fortune cookie, and he's like a ridiculous starter. But he says that thing like, the man with no forgiveness in his heart is already dead. And it's very important to understand how true that is, because it doesn't only mean forgiveness of other people. It also means self-forgiveness.
That's true too.
And I think that's a lot harder. I think people who have a hard time forgiving other people, it's often because by thinking that the other person is more awful, it takes the onus off of how much you hate yourself.
Yeah, today it's like putting your own ego down,
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Definitely.
And it's I think sometimes God doesn't like when we do that. It's like mocking something that somebody created is not their favorite thing, like you said, oh, I'm garbage, I'm terrible, I'm whatever. I can picture him going like, I made you, I love you, would you shut up already and let me, kind of thing. But we have a tendency to think that we're supposed to be bashing ourselves all the time. I don't think you sound like a bad guy. You sound like a guy who's struggling with some moral questions, and I think that's beautiful. That just makes
and I'm there with you. I do the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
I always feel like was that the right thing to do? Or, could I have handled that differently? Or was I not nice enough to that person? Or was I too nice to somebody that didn't deserve it? Or, you second guess everything. But,
welcome to the club.
Andy, I appreciate you coming up and having a conversation with us, and feel free
I just
to
say hello. I'm only here to support and
say
say hello. I don't know you guys.
Well,
do your own shit.
I'm Josh. This is my channel, The Lab, and then this is Dr. Gary Brucato, a forensic psychologist. So you've been talking to, So anyway,
I'm gonna subscribe and follow you guys. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Andy.
Me too. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Okay, bye.
Take care.
This is a nice call.
Wonderful.
We got a lot of male callers tonight. Donna, go ahead. You're on the air.
Oh, Donna.
She's not ready yet. Here we go.
Donna. Donna mia.
Josh, I like the pumpkin design on the screen. Well, thank you. It's
I definitely Donna is a Ghana. Let's move on to the next person.
Well, I don't think there is a next person yet. Hold on.
I haven't had any really bizarre ones. I'm waiting for somebody to call and be like,
you're trying to speak it into
I'm half lizard. You know those calls we get? They're like special. I'm the Zodiac killer, and I'm also, I was the second shooter on the grassy knoll. I'm like, okay, have a good day.
Wouldn't the second shooter on the grassy knoll probably be dead by now?
Of course, Josh, it's not going to stop someone. I've heard people tell me they're Napoleon.
You have?
Of course. Well, one person told me, but I've heard people tell me.
You've had multiple people. Donna, go ahead. You're on.
Oh, how you going, Josh? How you going, Dr. Jim?
Dear Lord, I didn't expect that to be so loud. You blew me back there. How you doing?
Oh, sorry. I'm good. I'm really good. I was watching something today, and it was about a little boy who went missing from his front yard, like in the 80s, and they thought the stepmother killed him.
Hold on.
Anyway,
are we on in the background?
No, I've turned everything. You're not even moving.
Are we on?
Call like this, Josh? I almost feel like saying, Donna, what kept you? No, but seriously, Donna, you gotta shut us off in the background.
How's that?
That's better.
How's that?
That's better.
Okay.
Better.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donna.
So anyway, they thought the mother and the father knew something about it, and 20 years later they're going, no, they didn't know anything about it. He was found, in a camper van or something, caravan.
Where are you calling from?
And Australia.
Where in Australia?
Queensland.
Okay.
Oh, I live near up past Bundaberg in Queensland.
I'm really interested in that part of the world. Okay, go on.
What's
so beautiful.
What are you so interested in?
This time of year, it's as green as.
I think it's a very interesting place, but move on. Go on.
Yeah, it is interesting. So anyway, they're thinking now that it might have been this bloke who had shore leave. He was on a boat, and ship. He was in the Navy, and he killed 2 girls and abducted another girl, and now they're saying that it might, they say, it might be him. Is that normal for somebody that's like the girl had taken girls to abduct like a 5-year-old boy?
Oh, it depends on the offender. I mean, it depends what they're interested in. Are you talking for sexual reasons?
Yeah.
I mean, the victimology is so all over the place that it's very strange. You see that in offenders sometimes who are using drugs or alcohol or a little more disorganized or mentally ill or schizophrenic or something, or you can see it in people that are just sort of, that have a misanthropic kind of hatred towards the whole human race, like Tommy Lynn Sells. who would kill children and adults and elderly people and whatever. It was just anybody goes. But generally, yeah, you would hone in on a particular group. It is strange. But, you know, the people who don't know about crime have a tendency to think that, like, a person who could go around killing a bunch of women for sexual reasons would have no problem also taking a little boy. But the reality is that the victimology doesn't make a lot of sense. But it has happened, but it's unusual. It's unusual.
Yeah, the only reason they're really saying it is because he had shore leave.
Yeah.
He had shore leave at that time, and the kid went missing from the front yard, and these teenage girls went missing.
How old when you say kid? I mean, Ted Bundy had a victim who was 13. I mean, you know, how old are you talking when you say kid?
5.
5. You know, that would be
5-year-old boy, Justin something or other.
Right. I mean, this is something that comes up, Josh, in the Summer Wells case, right? Is that the type of person who would take a child is generally going to do it for sexual reasons, and is generally not going to have never done it before. If you're profiling who takes a child, chances are they have a history of sexual offenses.
Yeah, I would say very rarely is it somebody's first time, you know.
I mean, it happens, but you know,
it does happen.
But
so you know, it just seems so different with 3 teenage girls, and then, you know, a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah, it's a very unusual. You know, the profile is odd. You know, I mean, you think that first of all, one might, if there's a sexual element, you're talking about a hebephile versus a pedophile is very different, and also the going between the genders is strange.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's odd, but it can happen in disorganized people or people that break the MO because they're getting more disorganized, like when Bundy killed Kimberly Leach. He was like, you know, bombed out on alcohol and kind of starving for a victim, and saw her on the side of the, you know, basically, you know, probably didn't even know how old she was, you know, that kind of thing. But it's very different. What you're talking about is a situation where somebody's, yet visually this person is such a different type of victim.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it was like, because he had the fluffy hand when he took the girl, and they'll never know because they went on a chase with him, and he ended up shooting himself in the head in the car.
Oh, where did that case take place? I'd like to look it up.
I tried to go back and find it before I called in, but his name was Justin. Oh, and they thought his stepmother did it first, and just recently, in the last few years, because I don't know America, obviously.
I'm going to try to find it. It sounds very interesting, you know. But
yeah,
I mean,
it just sounded interesting to me.
What I'm saying is very general because I don't know the case. You know, I'm just saying in general, victimology tends to be more tight.
Yeah, they said with prejudice they said they couldn't take the father and the stepmother back to court. This was only a couple of years ago, where they went to court over it and said, well, the judge said they're not. It's with prejudice, so they can't.
Yeah. Well,
blame.
I think it's a very interesting case. I'm going to look it up. And I mean, who knows? I may already have it somewhere in my files, but I'm certainly going to look it up. And Josh, you have any?
He was a sailor. And he was on shore leave. This bloke, and I can't remember. I've forgotten all about it. I've forgotten the names now, but it was just like I just sort of thought of the victimology, how different they were. But they said he had shore leave and he had time, and he drove around in his big Trans Am, and so that was in the 80s, I think. It was, about 30 years ago.
Quite interesting. Well, I'm going to definitely look it up, and I appreciate your call very much. But I think you think about the victimology.
Thank you.
Is very interesting, and I think right on target. So, well, thank you.
First time calling in, right, Donna?
Yeah, first time. It's taken me like the whole show to work out how to get on StreamYard.
Well, you're here now, and we appreciate it. And make sure to call back in. We appreciate your calls.
Yes, all right. I really do love all things Australian. I'm still mourning the death of Barry.
Very interested in the area.
Yes, I am. I'm still mourning the death of Barry Humphries.
Oh yeah, me too. Dame Edna.
Yes,
Me too.
right. Yeah, who I did get to see
Who's
first.
that?
He was a
Dame Edna Everidge.
Dame Edna Everidge was basically a drag act, but he would pretend
Yeah, that was Barry Humphries.
that he was a very very condescending fashion icon who mocked.
Very condescending. The Mooney Pond's housewife.
Hilarious.
Oh, interesting.
They called her the Mooney Pond's housewife. Yeah.
In Australia,
All right.
he was
Thank
on
you.
postage
I'll let
stamps.
you go.
He was a cultural icon in Australia. That
Kind of like
a very beloved pop
Steve
icon.
Irwin.
He made Steve Irwin was nothing compared to Dame Edna. Barry Humphries was like
Crocodile Dundee.
like Michael Jackson would be the closest, like that kind of level of fame. He was
I've
like
never heard of him, so he can't be that famous.
You got to be kidding me. All right.
Okay, let's see.
Moving along.
Yeah, moving along. Let's see. Melissa, you got to, if you're listening, connect your mic. Cam, and then we can take your call after that. But let's see here. Catherine, go ahead, Catherine. You're on the air. Where are you calling from?
Really?
Yeah, never heard of that place. Let's see. Unmute yourself, please. Can't unmute your guest because they choose to mute themselves. Interesting. Make sure to hit that unmute button. If I could unmute you, I would, but I can't.
They can type their question.
No, that's okay. We just got to get her unmuted and then we'll be good to go.
I love some of the people's usernames. Look at this one. Mel Bell, give him hell.
Yeah, some very clever ones.
They're like Garbage Pail Kid names.
Yeah, sort of.
Yes.
Let me see. See if I can. Oh, it won't let me. Catherine, if you're there.
How's that?
There you are. How are you?
I'm kind of goofy looking. I just got here and checked in. I hope no one can see me but you all.
We can only hear you, but Dr. Gary and I are both goofy looking. So we're fine.
Already. You sound like people.
But I just got here. I just finished my holiday cooking for tomorrow. And
were you listening to us while you were cooking?
Yes, I've been cooking for hours. But I don't know what y'all are talking about. What kind of topic are you on?
I have no idea.
We're just taking calls and people are asking us questions, mostly about true crime cases and some, existentialism and goodness and mercy and turkey.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm doing tomorrow. My father will be 90 soon, and my in-laws here, and we've made a huge meal to bring over there in the morning.
Oh, very nice. What time do you guys eat?
Probably about noon. We got to get over there and cook a small turkey, and but I have our neighbor gives us a turkey every year, and this year he gave us a 32-pound turkey. It was real interesting. We had to cook it. We couldn't get it into the freezer or anything, so we had to cook it. But no, I wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. You might remember me. I'm the person who talked about I got robbed and kidnapped from a store I was working in. And
I remember you.
I remember saying it. But you're a character. I like when people call in that have as much character as you have.
Oh, thank you. I needed that.
I know what's going to come out of your mouth. You're fun. It's a great thing. But just out of curiosity, do you have a true crime related question, or you just wanted a call to talk about the poultry?
Well, I know you probably already.
Surely you're not so poultry.
You probably covered Summer Wells tonight so far, haven't you?
Actually, we haven't talked about really not really. No.
Well, I'm listening listened to like 3 different things, and I still can't make heads or tails out of what
What's
what
going
they
on?
have said
That's
about
the right guy
nothing.
here. He's a repository of information. Right, Josh? I mean, you're
Yeah, well, I'll say this, that
In a nutshell, tell me.
whenever there's a new lead in the Summerwells case, as somebody who's been around the Summerwells case for basically the beginning,
Me too.
people get very anxious and antsy, and that's when
excited.
yeah, well, everybody, most everybody wants justice for Summerwells, and so, but it also brings out a lot of unsavory characters. It brings out a lot of misinformation, clickbait, and things like that. The fact of the matter is that they searched an area on Van Hill Road, and that's about all we really know. That they're actively searching, and they look, if they would have found Summer, because of a because of the Amber Alert, we would have been notified. Obviously, that didn't happen.
And it was federal. It wasn't just local. It was federal. The FBI was there, right?
The FBI was there along with TBI and the sheriff's department. Some people say that they took dirt, but we don't know. We really don't know. But when I started in the Summerwells case, this is and Catherine, you know, everybody comes out that has been talking about it, and people that I haven't seen for years come out, and you know, everybody's got inside information. Everybody's got you know, we know this or we know that, or we salute this or we salute that. The fact of the matter is that nobody knows what happened with that search. We haven't been told. We can only speculate. And
it was based on an anonymous tip, which may or may not have been a true tip, right?
Sure.
Right. If it was true, it seems to be related to this search, or it could have been the, you know, crackpot sends a message information that isn't true.
And the only reason that I would think that that there was any validity to whatever they followed up on was that the presence. But, you know, look, I am happy that they're still searching. I'm happy that they're still following up on leads and tips. That's what I'm taking from this. I hope something comes of it. I hope that Summer is found very, very soon. I think that people are getting kind of tunnel vision on people that really don't offer much to the case, you know. And Chris McDonough's famous line from this case is, you know, he hasn't left the house, nor have I. And I think all roads lead back to Ben Hill Road inside of that house. And whatever happened inside of that house or with people that were inside of that house, obviously, you know, Summer's not in that house, so she had to get there somehow. And I would be shocked. And I'm telling you, I would be shocked if the head of the snake aren't the parents. I just would be shocked. I'm not saying that I know what they did. I'm not saying that, you know, I would just be, from everything that I've seen and every conversation that I've ever had with every fiber of my being, it's so hard to move past the parents. And it's tough for me.
It's Candace that, you know, with her weird, you know, the way she's acting is totally abnormal.
They have done themselves no favors, none in the court of public opinion. And you know, whatever, you know, then they say, well, you know, we're being this, we're being that. And look, man, there were 3 children taken out of that home before Summer or after Summer went missing, which doesn't surprise me. And they were living in squalor, and as Dr. Gary would call, what was that? What did you call it? Oubliette?
Oubliette.
Oubliette.
Like a dungeon where you send someone to die, like a hole in the ground.
I mean, it's a very terrible situation.
I don't mean it to be humorous. I mean it was horrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you think about that though, then you go, this is all these children knew.
Yeah.
Not anymore, because that situation is done. It's over. There are no more children there, and rightfully so. There shouldn't be. One of my biggest problems with this investigation, and maybe I'll be proven wrong towards the end, is that there were never any charges brought against Don and Candace for what the children were removed for. Obviously, what was happening was to a level of criminality that the children were removed. It is and never returned, by the way, to the parents. DCS isn't, they really are almost too forgiving at times and try to place children back in the homes, and sometimes that just doesn't work out at all, but that's their goal. And to be honest with you, Don and Candace kind of played it, we're like, we're trying to get the boys back. They were never getting those kids back, ever. It just wasn't going to happen. Just what and they played everybody for that. They said, well, we're gonna there's just so much crap that has been done. I don't know how you look at anybody else personally.
Right. There's a couple things I keep in my mind, is that in the very beginning, like when the refrigerator was a big deal, the refrigerator in the yard, there was a letter that was written, and I read it. It was either on the news or on one of the crime channels, that it was a letter from a neighbor or somebody who said that they knew how the children lived, and they brought food over there and clothes, and you never heard about
that.
And that just puzzles me. I mean, who wrote that?
There are we don't know who wrote it, but there are speculation that it was possibly
Jody.
Well, we've heard that, but I think she's denied it. I've also heard Allison, but it was somebody that before we were even introduced to that home, that had been written, and it just really seemed to confirm a lot.
It was in the beginning, and it was never talked about again. And to me, it was like, well, who wrote it? I've always hoped, with a positive attitude, that the girl was taken by somebody who's seen how she lived and was rescuing her from the SA. And that's one of the things about the church people. I'm a Christian to whatever extent you want to be. I try, put it that way.
Sure.
And the people in the church, to me, we saw the videos of the church. We saw what everybody else saw. Candace sleeping, the kid was running wild. She was climbing on the lady singing. She was completely out of control. And if those people my big question, how long did they go to that church?
I think it was fairly recent that they had left another church and joined that one, but I don't know the length of time. I'm sure there are people that do know. I can't remember. I mean, I'm sure I did at one time. The whole thing of somebody taking Summer to help her out is to me nonsensical from this point of, why just her? There were 3 other children in that house.
I think because of the SA and the grandmother.
Yeah, but I mean, but for somebody to do that in such a high risk, if I've taken these courses, even with the Cold Case Foundation, when they talk about the risk assessment, when they talk about is this, how likely is it? And I can explain it to you just like this, Catherine, and I'm sure you've heard me say it before. Somebody would have to go up a hill in the middle of the day with a house full of people a house full of people, 3 boys, 2 women, and I don't know who else was there. Steal her out of the basement,
right,
without anybody noticing. 13 dogs. It's so unlikely, and for somebody to be able to do, for somebody to be able to pull something like that off, it could happen, but from the inside, meaning from the
right.
inside of the house.
I always thought that Candace and Grandma gave that girl to somebody from the church. That's just one of the things I thought.
Look,
I mean,
until we know, then everything is possible. It's just, is it probable?
that was my dearest hope, because the only other thing I think is, like, at the house again, is that the other thing that's never spoken or was not allowed was the boys. I mean, how many stories did we hear about them fighting about food and all of that? I mean, I think there was an accident. I mean, that was another big deal for me, is what I really thought to begin with. And then, the more they talked.
That's always been mine. That's always been my
Mhm.
thought, was that there's some sort of accident cover up, but
And then later on,
depending on the
Donald,
day, you could sway me another way.
they were talking about the roof one time, and that never came up again, where the kids got on the roof.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
Maybe
There's
she got it.
there were um so many theories, and there still are new ones come up every day. But I think that there's just a core of people, 2, maybe 3, that know what happened,
Mhm.
and they're not talking.
Well, the way Candace acts, she got all upset on Dr. Phil. That's like a big old, you know, that's a big old thing. It's like, what? He couldn't even sit there and finish on the Dr. Phil show.
It was very self centered. Um,
Yeah. But
Obviously, there's this thing that's basically, consciousness of guilt. And I wouldn't say that it was completely that, but that's how I felt about it. Was when somebody's giving national attention to something, and Dr. Phil, regardless of what you think about him, I don't think he's on the air anymore, but an enormous audience, coast to coast and worldwide. Okay. That can't be a bad thing, to put a child who's missing, specifically Summer, out there. And so the fact that, you can't even manage to, get through it is just, to me, is crazy.
yeah, that was like, I'm guilty. I can't deal with it anymore, so I'm just going to step out now. I mean, she knows. And then there's Hunter, which I'm positive he's got to know what happened. He's got to. When Chris interviewed him, and then he came up with the story that, oh, when we were in the car, he called and said someone was touching the kids.
Yep.
That was, to me, that was his own made up that was Hunter's story.
Mm,
That was his way of trying to help cover up. I'm
sure.
sorry. That's what I thought.
Look, and he's an adult now, and I've always felt that he knows more. I don't know what, but it's just a feeling that I have, and I don't know what it is, but um, that's just, to me, sort of how it seems. So,
I hope
Catherine,
they find her.
Catherine, I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and that 32-pound turkey.
Oh, it's gone. It's done, ate and frozen, cooked. We couldn't. We had no room in the freezer for something like that.
Yeah, that's
You know.
normal.
Yeah. So we had to thaw it and cook it. It was very good. It
Well, I
had
want
to
to
be.
wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, and you too, Doctor. And I want to let Doctor know that last time when I talked to him, he gave me some good advice about the stars. You can see them, but they're not there. If pertaining to your anxieties and flashbacks and things.
Sure.
That meant something to you. That's nice to hear.
Oh, and I'm listening. Oh, that's the last thing, and I promise I'll shut up. I've been listening to your piano on your yeah, and I still don't know why you and Chris don't get together and with he plays good music and Josh can sing, right?
Yeah, I'll sing.
Or can you
Bridget
play
the
an
troubled
instrument
water.
too?
Like that little bar and the cantina bar performers. I guess. Well, listen,
My heart will go on by Celine Dion.
Oh, that's right. Josh, I would kick you off that piece of the ship.
Would you? Sure I would.
No,
I wouldn't even let you get on my door.
That's true. Definitely. That's so true. You'd be like out. Bye. I'd be dead. So, but listen, thank you for calling in. I purposely sort of step back when the Summer Wells case comes up because I really feel that Josh and Chris have been involved with that story from the beginning, and I'm sort of a Johnny come lately with that case kind of thing. I'd rather them talk about it. It is fascinating, the way that people's imaginations, go when there's a tidbit of information, but I think first we have to find out if
and let me just I'll address this real quick. I heard authorities were testing the dirt around the pig farmer's home because in some areas in the deep south it's common practice to get rid of people. Okay, there is no evidence. There is nothing indicating besides people saying it that is what is taking place.
The tip was true.
Of course not.
Well, we don't know. I'm not saying one way or the other. I have no idea.
We don't know.
It's true. We don't even know what the tip was.
Of course not.
Right. So, and there's all this kind of going on. I mean, I watched a couple of podcasts. People have theories that are developing that are like, very, very interesting. I mean,
it's sensationalized and it's kind of crappy sometimes because, as much as I would like to know that, or that they were sifting dirt and testing it, we don't know that that's the case, and
well, without getting into my opinions on it, I'll simply say that you always have to think Occam's razor. What is the most likely explanation based on statistics?
Accident.
Based on the type of offender that would be required to commit the offense. How rare are they? What kind of background would they expect? Who do they tend to be? That kind of thing. And, some of the narratives require very outlandish stories. So you want to kind of keep it simple, in terms of what's the most likely thing. Because, I'm not going to get into what I think, but just remember that for there to be, like, for example, a local pervert who takes the kid would be a very rare thing. You don't just become a child pervert. The whole town would know about it. You'd be on a registry probably. You would have had a slip up where you did things in the town. You know how small towns are.
Yeah,
some I had to walk on Old Country Road, and the whole town hears about it by next 5 minutes later because it's the biggest thing that ever happened in the town. That kind of thing.
Sure.
Nobody gets away with anything, and
this is a great area.
People who would be sex offenders and things like that. People would have little slip ups. And you have to remember also that whoever did this is almost certainly local. They'd have a familiarity with the place. I mean, you're talking about, like dogs would have had to have not even barked audibly. Like you'd have to be comfortable there. You'd have to, and there are all kinds of things that make absolutely no sense. For example, like Josh, ever since you and Chris presented the facts to me on an episode one day, I'm stuck on this idea that there was once like a huge couch that would have blocked the door that an intruder would have had to come through to take the child. Like it doesn't make any sense.
It also doesn't make any sense
that bothered me.
It also doesn't make sense that couch went missing or was thrown out right after Summer went missing by Dawn's own words. And then when Candace was asked about it, she said, "Oh, we haven't had that couch in 6 years."
Right. Well, one hypothesis that I heard a podcaster, I hate to say that, I don't remember who it was. I heard a podcaster discuss was the idea that perhaps the child wandered off and was accidentally killed by, like, workers or something like that, and then there was a desire to cover it up because of the now that was somebody's hypothesis. Now, how would the kid get out of the house? How did the kid get out of there? They moved the couch out of the way and opened the door, like like, I don't understand what is this story. I mean, was she outside already? I don't understand.
You need two hands to count the people who said that the girl would wander off and disappear, and they'd have to go look for her. I mean,
Yeah,
everyone's
day wasn't she in the house?
yes,
That's what Mom said.
So I'm saying it doesn't make sense. Look,
Of course it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense.
I'm just saying, not discounting anybody, and these are very interesting hypotheses, and I love that everybody is coming up with theories and because I really want to see that case solved.
Me too.
The one thing I have to tell you is that everything in my instinct tells me the child is not alive. Based on statistics, the idea that she's going to be found one day, whatever, is very improbable to me. Like, that she's alive and well somewhere. It breaks my heart to say that, but my strong impression is that she was eliminated and concealed. And I feel like this is a case where the child's blood is sort of crying out from the ground for justice, and I hope it comes. I really do.
And
But
I will say this
simple, and don't get too
really quick, because we do have some more calls. But let me just say this: if there is anything of importance that comes across to me,
I hope it does.
I will absolutely relay it to the audience. There's a lot of people that tell me, look, I only look for you and Chris. And we're not just the only ones that cover it, fairly and or as fairly.
A lot of very wonderful coverage of it, actually.
Yes, there is. But if there's anything that is tangible, that can be shared, that is factual, and if it's not factual, I'll tell you, this is just a theory that people are coming up with. I'm not gonna try and sell you on something just to get you interested.
Right and you and Chris have been very conservative in your interpretation.
I think so.
Saying, like, I'm just gonna keep my opinions to myself about this because we don't even know if this tip even was true.
Sure, and we covered it. We talked about it one time.
Right.
We did a show about it, and it was interesting. And the new tip, whatever that was, it was interesting that they were out there, and it was the first time. That's what makes this such a. That's why people get so excited for movement, is because this is the first time that law enforcement has said anything about searching for Summer since the initial searches, and that it's like you're just hanging on to just hope that something is going to come from this, and look, I hope it does. I don't care who brings the tip that solves the case, that puts the people that are responsible for this in jail or in prison. I don't care who it comes from. We just want truth, and we want whatever justice is in this case. Nothing, if Summer is gone, and like I said, God forbid, but I mean, if you just look at the facts, if you look at the statistics, it's hard to think of any.
But we don't know.
That Summer needs to be found in whatever condition she's in. Currently, she needs to that respect.
How old would she be now, Josh?
I believe she would be going on 10 in February, I think. Well, but she was a 5-year-old missing girl, and that's what it is. So, Catherine, thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you both, and if I don't see you, Merry Christmas too. Have a great holiday.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, love you both.
All right, we love you too. Bye-bye.
I like Catherine because she I remember from previous calls, she always tends to to take the slightly kinder interpretation.
She's very, very sweet. Very
people,
sweet.
to try to see the best in people all the time. I think it's very sweet.
Absolutely.
I
All right,
admire.
we're gonna go. Melissa, go ahead. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Tennessee. Shoo, got some
Tennessee. Where you
horse.
Summer Walk?
Yeah, in Summers area of the woods. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Ever called before?
I have. Yeah, we spoke, and I listen to Dr. Gary's channel every day. I think my handle is different on there than what it shows up here.
Have you
But
commented ever?
yeah, comment. I've sent you a tip. Yeah,
Oh,
so a couple tips. So yeah,
I
uh,
probably would know your last name, but I don't want you to say it here, of course. But I would know it from when you sent that.
you
But
probably would. Yeah,
Just say your
yeah. You
social
could.
security number.
right. But that's so sweet of you. Thank you, and I hope it
Oh,
meant something to you.
it did. I love the one, the Saint Francis
Oh, the prayer of
one
Saint.
that you did. Yes, the prayer of Saint Francis.
I think I
And
remembered your. I think I know your last name.
oh, okay, okay.
I remember that. Thank you. That was
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I can't imagine how much work you have to put into that and pour into that to put, this out for us to listen to and enjoy. So I definitely get it. You know, having a YouTube channel, even how small, it's a lot of work. So I understand.
everything I
Uh,
do is a lot of work.
yes, yes, there is.
I can't do anything easily.
Well, me neither. Me neither.
That's how I am. I'm like, oh, let me fix that little crack in the wall. The next thing you know, there's like pine
There's
furniture, like the whole house is being repainted. There's a bulldozer.
yeah,
Thing.
yeah.
I can't do anything easily. It's just the way my
I
person.
get that. I get that. Yeah. Or start, I think I'm gonna, I'll have to go wash the dishes and then you're polishing the cabinets and, you're going through all that. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. But yeah, I can say I used to. I would be that way, but yeah, I'm not so much anymore.
So,
So
so, so how can we help you?
I just wanted to call in, wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. The one thing I wanted to kind of just like piggyback on that last call in Summers case, where
This is old Josh.
this very sweet lady that thought maybe someone from the church had taken her um, for a better life. I think that would ultimately be the most wonderful thing. However, I mean, I taught Sunday school, and anybody in a position like that, you're a mandated reporter. So if someone knew a child was being SA'd, then you know the steps that have to be taken. They have to be reported to CPS, and then
Let,
let
let,
it go that route. Versus a
right.
church taking it into their own hands. Now, would a church? I don't know. I really don't. Oddly enough, that church is like right next to my dentist office. But I mean, it's just
Well, first
you
of all,
know,
it's criminal.
it's
So
criminal. Yeah, it would be criminal to
maybe a
know
stupid
that was
thing to
being
do.
done, and the fact that Summer was under 8 and the boys were all over 8, they would have been. I mean, that would have gotten them a felony
No,
because
this is where psychology has to come in, right? You have to put yourself into the
yeah,
shoe of a Sunday school teacher. Is a
yeah,
Sunday school teacher the type of person who is going to disregard the law and say, let me take this into my own hand instead of like going to the authorities and saying, like, I think this child should be taken out of the home? You'd accomplish the same thing doing it the legal way. A Sunday
correct,
school teacher, unless there's some kind of fragmented psychopath, chances
right,
are, they're the type of person who would understand that there's like a right way and a wrong way to do things. That's why they're a Sunday school teacher.
correct,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, it's
yeah.
not doesn't go with the cat. See, this is the
It doesn't go, and I think Occam's razor is
right,
great because it's like the most reasonable thing you can think of.
right.
It is most logical, I guess, would be what it would have happened. And I can't say that I've always thought that it was an accident cover up, but as goes on, I think that it could possibly have been, and this is my opinion only, that but I've always said from the beginning, I think since seeing the first interview with the father, that um I mean, I just felt they were involved, and I've always felt like in looking back at all the pictures of her, that she had been abused, and that she was possibly being like familial trafficking.
The description of the child being rambunctious and jumping all over the place and whatever. Actually, that behavior, certainly it's common among small children, but
Yeah,
it's also very common among abused children.
it is. Yeah, it can be.
There
Yeah.
are a lot of behaviors that you have to learn are associated with abuse. For example, the child having way too much awareness of sexual things.
Yeah.
Young
Yeah.
age, bedwetting behaviors, fears and anxieties that are exaggerated. There are things you have to look for. But just to give you an example of where this psychology thing comes in and is important, Josh, like, I think Josh is. Did I just get? Did the whole world just hear that I got a text message? I'm sorry about that. Okay,
I like that little chime there, Dr. Gary. We all know what your text messages sound like.
Right. But like, just
kid.
an example of where the psychology stuff is useful is like, now I am not poo-pooing anybody's hypotheses because I don't have all the facts. But like, let's say we were to entertain for just a moment as a thought experiment the idea of a group of workers who accidentally kill a child that is like wandering off a property.
Yeah.
Like run her over with a truck or a tree falls on her or something. Okay. Now you have a whole bunch of guys, right, that have, I think they were men mostly, right? I don't know if
I
they
think
were,
so. Yeah, that's safe to say. Yeah.
but it could be men or women, I don't know. And they have done this, okay? And now they're like, oh boy, we better hide this kid. Okay. Now there's a reward. Right? And a whole world is out looking. These are not psychopaths, right?
No.
Right. Okay. You don't think that one of them would feel compelled to come forward, even just to take the money, to come forward and be like, listen, my boss told me not to do it, not to tell anybody, but like, I want the money. I mean, in other words, you have to think psychologically. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And I honestly believe that it's just to say that did happen, that a tree trimming truck hit her, and at least two people in the truck were there, and then maybe another truck was close. Let's just say there was like 4 or 5 people even that were there. There would be at least 2 or 3 good people in that bunch that would be like, no, we have to call the police. I honestly believe that. I mean,
or when you interviewed them, it would show that they were anxious because they're not a psychopath.
I think, did not the police come and say, did they not come out with that, Josh, that they had spoken with the tree trimmers and
Yes.
they did not have any problems with them at all.
Correct.
I mean, and I know that just like all this going on now about clearing people and not, I just see the titles, and stuff, but I think it doesn't matter if they clear you or not. They can always come back and grab you again. I mean, that means nothing really. So I don't know why people get so wrapped up in that, but I mean, I don't know, but yeah,
They hang on to anything, and understandably so. That people, like I said, people want the case solved. And
but
yeah, I mean,
we don't know.
No, we don't know.
Saying that these theories could be poo-pooed. We're simply saying that you have to use psychology to kind of think what makes sense, right?
Yeah,
It's like the Judge Judy principle.
Yes.
If it doesn't make sense, it isn't true.
Right.
To be true, every aspect of it has to hold. And and you just kind of want to go, that doesn't really seem probable. But Josh, did you agree with my sense that it's kind of improbable that a bunch of workers would accidentally kill a child and all keep their mouth shut about it?
Yeah, that whole thing when they talk about being like licensed and bonded and stuff.
Right. Yes.
It'd be a tough cover up.
Although
Oh
you never know, but so that, or what about?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say,
right,
we know.
but another example of something that would be very difficult to fathom is the child wandering off, and she just happens in the middle of a small town to randomly cross paths with a sex offender.
I don't believe that out of there.
Like think about that.
Yeah.
Like I throw a pebble in the air and it lands at the foot, of a geologist, going, wow, the very thing I go after has fallen out of the air. I don't think so.
I don't think so. And I don't believe that she wandered off either.
Nor do I.
Because, I mean, I'm around, I grew up in this area. Okay. So, with families that hunts and everything. And also, um,
Mhm.
we all, I mean, there are always going to be signs. There'll be something left behind, whether it's tiny strips of clothing. Well, I don't want to go into detail, but we all understand. And the next day, or maybe before even then, there would have been birds in the air, um, circling. I don't think I have to go any further than that,
Yeah.
because you can see a tiny mouse or whatever run over in the road, and there are birds in the air. I mean, that's just very common around here. Maybe it's not in everywhere like in New York, but I mean, here where we live, I mean, we hit a deer took out, oddly enough, I drive a vehicle like they had, the red cross track. I have one, but mine's a different color. But and
Yeah.
they bought it at the same place that I bought mine. I
Well,
actually think they tried to sell me that car that Don bought, and I told my husband, I
wow.
don't want that car. It was so weird. It was on the showroom floor, and I said, and it had navigation on it, which was what I was looking for. And I was like, I don't want that car. And he goes, why? Because it's red. And I was like, no, I just don't want it. I don't know why. I just don't want that car.
Mm.
And so I ended up buying a different one that did not have navigation on
Well,
it because I didn't.
in your, I
So
think your point about the carrion crows and other things
yes,
is
yes,
a very intelligent one. I mean, in Victorian times, that's how they would have found a body.
yeah,
With
yeah.
birds and so forth. It takes a great degree of imagination, I think, to kind of picture that, but I think it's true. And look, all I'm saying, I refuse to get into,
Oh
what
yeah, yeah. I understand.
I don't cast aspersions, nothing. I'm simply just
No,
that in my experience, very, 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 very statistically rare things do not tend to happen, right? So
correct.
you go for the simpler, and a lot of the stories that would be necessary, the factors that would be necessary for any of these things to happen, they don't add up. They don't
Mm,
hold water, but you never know. I mean, bizarre
no,
things have happened, and,
no.
and I just want to see if that tip turns out to be true and what the heck it was.
Me
What
too.
was
Yeah.
it?
I
You know,
think if the FBI was out there, it had to be credible. That's the only thing that I can hold true to right now is that
Well, it can
they
still be
felt
credible when they don't find anything, too.
it
That's
true. That's true too. That's
well, it
true
also
too.
just have to do with where the tip came in.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
True.
mean? But I mean, but I think it's a really interesting development, but I just hope it doesn't turn out to just be a flash in the pan kind of situation because it gets
Oh,
always
yeah.
hope, and
Yeah,
that,
I agree.
that that's a phenomenon when you work with victims' families that you really start to understand is and I don't know what went on in this situation, but like in like if I'm dealing with a family that has lost a loved one or whatever, and people are in the public coming up with hypotheses and suspects and whatever, every time there's a glimmer of hope, it's very painful for the family because they
Mhm.
have to get into it again and relive it and think about it and think about the possibility of being in a courtroom with a suspect and the whole thing and gearing up for it and then being disappointed and not getting closure. And they wind up saying sometimes, like, unless you're 100% sure, don't talk to me about it because I don't
Yeah.
want to keep getting pulled into this. That's a real thing.
I
And
could imagine.
rule.
Yeah,
I mean,
I could imagine that.
imagine being somebody that every single time you looked on YouTube, somebody was talking about your sister,
Oh,
brother,
yeah.
or your kid, or your,
But you're talking about a family who wouldn't take the help from the Cold Case Foundation. So, I mean, that to me speaks volumes because I can't even imagine this happening, but I would want everyone that I could get. I don't care who
They
it
returned the
is.
flyers that I got for them.
Yeah. I mean, there's just been so much, so, but I
Yeah,
didn't mean
yeah.
to, drag us back down,
I mean,
back
I'm
down this
just
road again. But So I do have a question though. I want to ask you too. So y'all were talking about movies, like you watch movies that we wouldn't think that you watch. They're just silly movies. But also, have you ever seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Of course. I know
Okay,
every time.
Josh. I think I do too. But
Don't
Josh, have you?
remind you of Steve Martin and John Candy in that movie?
Who? Does Josh?
And Josh and I remind you of
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
you do.
you're John Candy. You're John Candy.
Have you seen the movie, Josh?
physically our personalities.
He's not answering the question. He's not answering the question.
Yeah, I've seen
You've
it, but I couldn't.
Has it been a while?
I can't recall it that well. But yes,
It's so funny though, and it's actually based on Thanksgiving. So, but Steve Martin and John Candy are hilarious in this movie together. And so I was wondering, I was like, I've got to ask Dr. Gary if he's seen that. And then, like another like stupid movie that I love is Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, that's another one that we quote. Yes, yeah. So, but yeah, I was just like, I wonder if you if you watch those, as well. So
yeah, those aren't pillows. Is that the Great
is that
Outdoors?
what's your hands between?
That's
between two pillows. Those weren't pillows.
The bed and
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks he's got his hands in. They're all snuggled up in that one little full size bed.
Best part of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is when he takes the shower curtain rings and sells earrings and tells people that they were made by like the Grand High.
I don't think I would ever sleep in the same bed as you, Dr.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I watched it just like 2 nights ago. And so
even if you had to. Like, even if they said, well, look, you can either sleep in the bed with Dr. Gary or you can sleep on the ground on shell rock, I'd say rocks.
You would though.
There's in which you think you would even be offered.
Well, look, say we were like at a train station and we both got kidnapped or something. And you would get kidnapped first because I'd put up a good fight. And then we both end up in the same place and they're like, here's one bed. Do with it what you must. Like, you fight for it. And I go, you can have it. I'll just sleep on the rocks. There's a scenario right there.
Oh my goodness.
I have never.
Where did that go? That went.
Insulted and relieved at the same time. I'm not really sure what to say in response to that, except to say, I'm sorry that my bed doesn't seem welcoming.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be your bed. It would be a bed that we were given.
And we're kidnapped?
You even kidnapped? You would not sleep on a bed? I think Josh would change his mind.
Fantasy that you're having.
Not a fantasy. I just thought of it on the fly.
All right.
I think he would change his mind if you two were kidnapped.
You fought for our protection, and then you had to turn down the opportunity to sleep in my bed, and chose instead to sleep on rocks. I'm going to
go your bed. But it's not your bed.
Whose bed is it? What are these rocks that you're sleeping on?
It's our captor's bed.
Oh, so you don't think Dr. Gary should sleep in the bed either?
That's like a Hallmark movie. Okay. In all seriousness.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, thank you. Josh and I have a way of steering everything into the loon when we get tired. In all seriousness, I know what he's talking about. He's joking about the idea of a world in which even if a gun was put to his head, he would ever be in the position of John Candy.
Of course he is. Yeah.
And it was odd that they did that in the movie. That you would think that they would have found a different solution.
Yeah. I love that movie. Yeah, it's so good.
I'll sleep under the bed.
Sleep under the bed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Melissa, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys have a great Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much tomorrow.
Back on the earth.
Pardon? I'm sorry, I missed your last
word now.
Okay.
Thank you. Josh, in all seriousness, I would let you have the bed. I'd sleep on the rug.
I wouldn't want it.
Why? Because I had been in it? What did I contaminate it?
Because I'm a gentleman.
Because you're a gentleman. I'm so done with this story.
I think that I could sleep on rocks better than you. That's just what I think.
Well, that's very considerate of you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You're making it seem like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
most of
You're
those
lucky that you have a friend that's good enough that if we got kidnapped because you couldn't fight them off because yeah, and then you should be like, oh wow.
Finish that sentence. If I couldn't fight them off, why?
If you couldn't fight them off, and then I couldn't fight them off,
why couldn't I fight them off? What's the theory?
I don't know. We both lose in the end. Do we just we just lose the fight? But they go after you first because they say, "Oh, he's a weak target," and then you give him hell. But you still lose, and then they come after me and they go, "Hey, fat boy, here I am," and then I go, "Ah,
weak target in this story."
I don't know. Just because I'm taller than you.
Get the hell out of the bed. All right, moving along. I can't. I gotta go.
Well,
all right.
Okay. Now
that can end this domestic dispute.
Actually, we're done. But I want to say this. Please, if Chris McDonough of the Interview Room has just dropped a video titled "Summer Wells' father, Don Wells, talks about his missing daughter." So this is unheard before audio. Head over there, check it out. It's about an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so go ahead and check that out. Let me see here. Put the link in the chat. Check this out.
That was the most ridiculous 2-minute conversation I've had in a long
Nah, it was fine. It wasn't that big of a deal. It's okay. I'm not triggered by the kidnapping jokes. That's good. I'm glad because it was completely fictitious. Although Dr. Gary's been robbed several times. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Am I wrong?
They were really small people, too. That's the
Dr. Gary, I appreciate you. You're a great sport. And, we like to goof a little, give some levity. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Mattress shopping. I need a better one.
Yeah.
No,
it doesn't matter. You could have the best mattress in the world. It wouldn't matter. I'm not sleeping in your bed.
Who wants you to?
I don't know. Why are you talking about mattresses still?
There would be somebody else there. Why is this bed empty in this hypothesis?
I don't know.
My God. All right. Well, anyway, just to all right. In all seriousness,
you really are mattress shopping on Thanksgiving?
No, it's a joke. You took the joke literally. Now, in all seriousness, I'm going to spend time with family. I think Thanksgiving is a great holiday. I just love the idea of it.
Yeah,
I get to see my brother who's been on tour, so it'll be nice to see him, and my little nephew and nieces that I love to be with.
Tell him I'm a big fan, by the way.
Huh?
Tell him I'm a big fan
of my brother. You're a big fan of my brother?
I am. Yeah,
he's pretty funny.
He's funny.
I have to be honest. I also love his friend Cooge.
Oh yeah, I like him too.
Very well.
Yeah, he makes the food and stuff, and he eats the. Yeah, he's good.
He is very funny, my brother. I have to be honest. But we're all funny in my family in a different way.
I think so.
We're
in a hotel, like a normal person.
My brother is funny intentionally. You know what I mean? But some of us are funny without meaning to be because we're hot-headed and passionate about everything, and you know what I'm saying. Everything is ridiculous and perplexing, and it's funny. We're funny people. Is your family funny?
No,
I think you're pretty funny generally.
Well, you said my family, not me.
But I'm asking you. Are
my
you?
My sister's funny.
Are your kids funny?
Yes, actually, they are funny.
Oh,
Peyton, and if you ever listen to the After Dark, Peyton was on there the other night. I mean, he's hilarious. He's absolutely, he is so funny, and he has such a great sense of humor, and his laugh is infectious and contagious, and he just likes to do it, man.
Was your mother funny?
Yes, she was. I mean, from I don't remember that much, but look who's in the house, by the way.
Oh, Chris. Yeah. No, Chris is funny.
Chris is very.
There are some people like that. They just make you laugh from your belly, Chris, when he's in the mood, he'll get you going. I mean,
But make sure to check out. Go over to the Interview Room, and like I said, let me hold on. show this really quick, and then we'll get on out of here.
But I'm glad, you touched a little bit on the Summerwells thing. As I said, I think you and Chris have really kind of, you were important in the story. Chris
it's a story that has touched a lot of people's hearts. I've met a lot of people because of the Summerwells case. I've met a larger audience, and the whole thing, is tragic. But there's so many people that do care, and hopefully that it is resolved. But make sure.
How I met you,
exactly.
Chris, absolutely. The show with him, and you talk about the case. But so are you going to show a second of this just to show what this is?
I mean, I can. Yeah, let me just give it a quick second.
House ever.
Yeah. And
so
go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just knew. I knew right then, that very second, that she was gone.
Okay, what inside?
Oh, it's Chris talking to Don.
Yeah, so go check that out. I'll drop the link. Let me drop the link again for this video, and I'll pin it. So go check it out, and I appreciate it. Dr. Gary. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And happy Thanksgiving. And we'll do. Either. I know that people have been asking us about our serial killer. Stuff. So, I think we could probably do a
sure. We'll do the next installment. But I do want to take the opportunity to say two things. One, I'm very grateful for you and for Chris and for all the people that, you'll notice my circle in the true crime world. I keep it pretty small. I don't appear on a lot of shows and things. I keep the cases I'm willing to comment on sort of few and far between. And, so I am very grateful for the friendship with both of you.
Appreciate that.
And also Karen, was also wonderful. And everyone in the Cold Case Foundation and so forth. And the second thing is, I definitely want to say is that even though we're going to be with family and we're having a good time and we're, try to remember in your prayers and your thoughts, the people who have lost people to violent crime, to natural causes, other things, who are alone, who have that, what I always call the empty chair, that who are dealing with that. Think, for example, of the families in the Koberger case, who just, a couple of weeks ago were dealing with the anniversary. There's that, always looking at that kind of space where the person was, it's hard. So just keep those people in your mind and try to concentrate on what there is to be grateful for in this world instead of all the stuff that's ripping us all apart. And think of those poor families that lost the two National Guardsmen. Well, not lost. I don't know, actually.
Said, and I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody said that they passed, but I don't know if they have.
Well, that's what somebody texted me, but I don't know if it's true. So that's why I'm saying
I would imagine but I don't know. I haven't verified that. I hope it's not the case, but I know that they were critical.
But just think about
that's horrible.
Please, so you just because that could be any of us. 1 minute you're with the kid, the next minute your kid's gone. I
grew up around National Guardsmen, man. My grandfather, he actually ran the armory locally here. And, these are guys that specifically are like, they train just a few weeks a year and they work regular jobs. And, sometimes they get called out on fires and things like that. And
they were just trying to keep us all safe.
They're not doing it yet, and it's just it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. So
it's really, really bad. And the thing is that to remember when you're being grateful is you don't just have that feeling of like I have this thing and I'm going to have it forever. That it's the gratitude of like I'm going to be in this moment with you because I don't know how long I'm going to have you.
Sure.
I could lose this person, and you experience that kind of joy of right now you're here and you're okay and we're sharing a meal together and. I'll never have that moment again, kind of thing. And but it's hard. And the holiday seasons generally, for some people it's wonderful. It's one big giant, festival of but for some people this is a really rough time of year.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying? And because it becomes like a referendum on their life, it makes them feel more lonely. They feel no one loves that, so just remember that, and especially remember the people who are going without food, who are poor. Think of the people in the missions. One of my favorite things to do is to donate to the Bowery Mission in Manhattan, because for $2 or $3 you could buy Thanksgiving dinner for a person.
Yep.
Just remember those people in your prayers and with your wallet. And
last year, me and my kids, we started where we serve Christmas dinners. So we
love it
in the early afternoon, and serve help.
Or you mean?
What's that?
To the homeless, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, so I think
at the food bank, they have a dinner for and they serve a Christmas dinner, and they ask for volunteers to come help, and it's actually I wanted my kids. I used to make my kids donate toys every year. And it showed them. I think it showed them a healthy way to be able to give back.
That's right.
As people who are fortunate, and a lot of us are very fortunate. We may not feel like it all the time, but we're very blessed people.
That's what grateful people do. It's funny, just before I go, remember we talked about the Karate Kid earlier?
Yes.
Okay. So the actor Pat Morita was struggling in Hollywood, and he became very close with Red Fox. Remember the comedian Red Fox, who was Sanford's son, who was a very kind man, actually, even though he played a gruff character. And he took a lot of people under his wing and would help them financially. And one of the people he helped was Pat Morita. Felt sorry for him, gave him a lot of money, got him on his feet. And Pat Morita then became very wealthy with the Karate Kid, made a lot of money. And he went to give the money back to Red Fox. And Red Fox said, "That's not how you show gratitude back. You take it now and you give it to someone who needs it the way you did. You don't give it back to me. You pay it forward," right? And I think that's what gratitude does. It begets giving. It makes you want to go out and make somebody else have food, make somebody else have clothes, and remember, for those people in the audience that are Christian, remember the center of Christmas is a family that was turned away, at an inn, and had to go into a filthy place with animals. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just remember that. That's the form that the Savior decided to take.
And
right,
they were delivered by camels to that.
Yes, there, it's true. But it's important to remember that, Josh. It really is, and that gives you joy in your heart at the holiday season. Giving.
Here, really quick, Dr. Gray, I'm going to show you this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. So I've just decided that by next year I'm going to put the story out about the camels. And let me see here.
Isn't it better to just let it heal?
No, it's not actually. Let's see. I don't know where it is now, but
put it out on a Wednesday.
Why on a Wednesday?
Hump day.
Anyway,
you get it? Sorry.
Yes, I get it. Oh, I get it. I can't find it, but anyway, I'll next time I'll.
You ever see camels' tongues? They're the most disgusting thing in the entire world.
Yeah, I have actually.
And when they spit.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Oh,
so
good.
This is just this is an excerpt. Somewhere in Persia, modern day Iran. Hi, my name is Amir. This is my cousin Talzi. And this humpless guy right here is Scoob. We found him at a dried up watering hole on our way back from the Spit Distance Championship. Talzi got second place for the second year in a row. He lost to the unbeatable El Wingador, the Spitmeister. He was also a competitive eater and holds the record for most flat buffalo wings eaten in 5 minutes, 167. He's the only camel that eats chicken this side of the Nile.
That's the whole story?
No, it's just the introduction.
Keep going. I was into it.
No, I'm just giving a teaser.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen?
You'll have to find out when the story comes up. But now you know the names of the camels.
Oh, yes. Well, it's
Amir, Halsey, and Scoob.
Where did you get those names from?
I don't know. I have an inquisitive mind.
What was happening to you when you came up with those names? Were you having a seizure or something?
No, I was having a good time.
Oh, well, I don't know if those names would have existed in ancient Persia.
Amir?
I don't know about
Halsey and Scoob. Now, Scoob might be an outlier.
Go out on a limb and guess that.
Somebody said that this is historically accurate. It's loosely based on the three wise men's camels. Let's it.
Just say that in ancient Persia, I'm pretty sure that chicken wings were not sweeping the country.
Whatever. They're trendsetters. What do you want to do?
All right. But put it out on a Wednesday. The audience is very, very confused. Crime Addict 53 literally said, "I'm confused." And
but there's also a laughy face. So they're confused, but playfully confused.
Well, there's a rolling yellow head with tears shooting out of it.
Which is a laugh.
It could be. Is that what that means? It could also be like a decapitated, frostbitten head. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to be.
It's just somebody laughing. So
is that what? I can't really tell. It's a little scary looking. Anyway, in all seriousness, I want to hear the story in full, but it's probably a good idea if I'm not here when you recite it.
Probably.
I'll be somewhere else in the mattress. And also, are you going to do your annual Christmas poem?
I'm doing a Christmas poem this year. It'll be a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, or excuse me, before Christmas. But yes, absolutely.
Are you going to do the night before Christmas again?
Nah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I'm going to do
Rudolph or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
You're going to sing?
Things are tantalizing right now. That I'm getting little flickers.
I think Rudolph is a pretty sad story, actually.
Why?
Think about it. They were abusing him.
Yeah, but he had a red nose.
But he was imperative to the mission. They just didn't like him. They were jealous of him, basically.
Well,
I mean, they didn't even let him play reindeer games. And by the way, what the heck are reindeer games?
I think it's just like a play on words.
I think they needed a rhyme.
No, there are actually things called reindeer games.
What are they?
I can't remember.
Anyway, it's a sad story, but poor Rudolph. But then in the end, they love him.
It's a literal holiday theme competing to a slang term for cruel social exclusion.
See, but that's because of the song. Some of those Christmas songs are pretty weird. Grandma Got Run Over by Reindeer is particularly strange.
What about Rub-a-Dub-Dub, 3 Men in a Tub?
That's pretty strange. That's almost as bad as 2 men arguing over a mattress after being attacked by a gang.
Don't ask, don't tell.
I gotta go. All right. Anyway, listen, that was fun. I appreciate that. And today, I think all the calls were pretty normal. We didn't have that many. There was nothing too weird.
There was one that I couldn't let up.
No, they were pretty.
But there was one. Go look in the private chat.
Oh, do you mean they were going to say something?
Bring it up right now. I'm not going to read it all, but it's like.
Oh yes, I see it.
Yeah.
What is this?
Dear, I don't know.
But what does that have to do with us?
Denying helps Satan and his disguises. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what it had to do with anything.
What does that have to do?
It doesn't. That's why I wasn't going to let him up. That's right. I'm circulating.
Oh, it's sort of.
It's scary.
Oh, well, you know what? The person means well.
Yeah, right. Sure they do.
No. They meant well. If you read it,
I read it.
They were trying to protect us.
Thanks. Anyway, All right, Dr. Gary, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk real soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, there it was. Thank you guys so much, and happy Thanksgiving. I got to go get my hams ready. I got 2 of them to cook. Thank you, everybody, for being here, the likes, the shares. Thank you for the gifted memberships as well, and the super chats and donations. It's very much appreciated. Eric, it's so good to see you. I was thinking about you just the other day. And Kat, thank you to all the wonderful mods who dropped the link. Miss Kelsey, thank you. And Martha, Holly, of course, a wonderful mod as well. And let me see. Eric's got the wrench. Love it. Let's see, Martha. And then Muscles was here earlier. We appreciate her as well. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we will catch you next time.